block you or turn away from you, like for the sake of their future. You just got to.
If they hated you, that probably mean you were doing your job right. I learned that 15 years in the
Yep.
military, made it to the rank of staff sergeant, and I realized real quick that I wasn't trying to be my soldier's friend. I trained and led hundreds of soldiers in that 15-year career, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them liked me, some of them didn't, but I didn't care. All of them respected me, um,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going to, and it wasn't even none to negotiate.
But
So, with that
but
said, you
yeah.
if you're doing your job, if all your subordinates are your friends, you're probably not doing your job effectively.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
don't like being told to do the right thing at all times and do things in a precise way. And if they
Yeah,
all like you,
why would you want to hear to do the right thing from somebody who didn't do the right thing themselves?
because
Well,
they know what wrong look like.
See
They
this, see
live.
this is the issue that people face. You can't tell me what to do when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and you're the one who's effing up, or have effed up in your past. I didn't do that. Now I understand you're not coming from a place of malice. I get that, and that you want to help. But what you have is you have younger people who are thinking deeper and saying, "Well, why would I listen to you? You jacked it up with your opportunity." And you're only doing this now because maybe you feel guilty, or maybe you feel like, you know, you want to pass it on, or whatever reason you've used to cope with the fact that you didn't do it the proper way when you had your time. Like me, for instance, I have a child. If I told that child to never smoke weed, that child can never come back to me and say, "Well, Dad, you smoked weed." No, I didn't. I've never smoked weed. I'm not a
Yeah.
hypocrite. I'm telling you not to do it because I've never done it. There's a complete difference
Well,
between, oh, I
uh,
jacked it up, and I'm telling you not to do it because I jacked it up and I don't want you to be like me, versus I'm telling you not to do it because I didn't do it, and here are my results from not doing it.
so both can be effective though, Trey. Both can be.
Depends on the student.
Yeah. I
Because
was
if
gonna
you
say
coming
both.
at me like that, like when I was in the military, and
Hmm.
I could go pull receipts and go pull it up and go, you was a piece of shit when you was an airman too. You was a piece of shit when
Yeah.
you was a young soldier too.
Yeah. I
Like
don't think
you
that's
couldn't talk to me.
necessarily. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily what he was alluding to. Because what I heard from Red Pill Ranger was that's the job of a father in general. Is if you care if your kids like you or not, it will severely hinder your effectiveness as a dad. I've said it on my show. I do not care if my children hate me as long as they are raised and brought up correctly to respect other people and their property to function in this country in their lives appropriately, right? To where their safety is never at risk, because that's something I believe people always want to basically take people out who are super disrespectful and they want to rob opportunities from them, so on and so forth, right? But that's your job as a dad. And that's in also indicates another problem we have in general in this country is that there are too many reasons or too many punk ass dads out here that you don't want to go against the mom for sake of argument, and you don't push back enough on things you know internally are wrong, right? Because this is what I've noticed. This is what I've noticed about raising kids in general. Me and my wife read it. She read it, forwarded it to me, and I read it. Could not believe this. Somehow these people quantified that children behave 800 times worse in the presence of their mother than they do their father. I know that's true. I just don't know how they quantify it 800 times. That lets you know as a dad that your presence is not only necessary, it is particularly important that you are there for their behavior. You see what I'm saying? So if there are things going on, like when you look at how different mothers behave, or the way mothers acquiesce to the demands of their children, is because they're usually getting their ass whooped by them. So they're literally just trying to smooth the kids over to have to have some breathing room, or no, you can't allow none of that shit as a dad. That's really what you're there for, is to be like, I know that you really feel like saying yes so you could get some peace and quiet, but it's still not going down because that's not the way we raise children in this house. I don't think there are a lot of men that have the gumption, that have the fortitude to say that and mean it, and stop all activity that isn't in the best interest of the child simply because they want to be liked by their woman and children. But Trey Fur, we've let me get this super chat, and we're gonna get to you in a second, my guy. My man Rashawn Washington with $2 super sticker. We appreciate that. My man Big Ant with the $10. My uncle, who was a Marine, got drunk and trying to fight me last night and was talking about he going to kick my Navy ass. My other uncle grabbed him and let him know what I was, and he's still trying me. Damn, Big Ant. The Marine, though, yeah, they always good for that, though. All right. Trey, you got it.
How's everybody doing today? Everybody have a
chill,
good holiday. I hope y'all can hear me. It's funny when I hear these conversations. Again, I don't know what generation I fall under. I came out of high school in 1986. Grew up in a home with my father, mother, 5 sisters, and a younger brother. My father was the craziest dude I ever met. The way he ran that house in reference to me being a son and my daughters was 2 different worlds. I mean, his daughters, my sisters, they could get away with things that I couldn't get away with, point blank. But my father was big on respect. He expected all of us to treat people in the community with respect. Older ladies, if they needed help, he like, hey, help them. Speak to them. If they speak to you, speak to them back, move on. So as I became a father, I sort of took on some of those ways, but I also learned what not to do. Not understanding his pain in relationship between his father. My father, he drank heavy. I knew then that I wasn't going to be a drinker. My father's 80 years old. He survived 2 strokes, 10 heart attacks, and he just got a battled a stint with cancer, all within the last 15 years. And, as my children got older, I stayed stern when it came to respect for people, respect for people's property. When you go to school, you respect your teacher. I don't care what the other students are doing. You're going to do your work. If I get a phone call, I'm coming to the school, and it's going to be me and you in front of the class. And that was the approach that I took. And in that moment, nobody liked me. I was mean, just like the same things I said to my daddy. You mean, behind his back, of course. It wasn't nothing like in the front. When I get in my room, shut that door, swinging at the air like old boy on the, what's that, the Trey when he was, with Ice Cube, Simple Boys in the Hood, same thing. But now they look at me and say, man, thank you for doing what you did.
Yep.
You helped me avoid a lot of the pitfalls that those guys who did not have a father in the home. I can see now why you were that way. Was I the best? I can look back now and say, no, I could have did some things different. But I ran the playbook that I knew kept me safe. And I understood by working in the school systems, especially in Chicago, that you better teach your child survival skills in the streets, because most men move with respect. Now, there may be some guys that you go run across, they have no respect for themselves, you, they mama, they daddy, because they've been sort of groomed to feel that way. And they don't release that pain. That's why a lot of us have problems with our prostates and cancer. A lot of guys I talk to, hey, why do you have problems? Oh, I don't release anger. I'm angry and this and that. So we got to be careful, especially today, because these younger guys and even the women, they're not waiting till they get 35 and start lashing out. They lashing out in that moment. They don't care. They gonna talk. They gonna fight you. Talk about whatever. So, and I hear this, it's like, it's a scary situation when it comes to us as a nation of men. Last thing, are we safe in America? I don't know. Yeah, crime is down, but those numbers always change from year to year, 15%. It's not really a big deal. Because if we lose it on this year, it'll be up next year, especially with a lot of these things that are changing now within the laws and how they're expecting us to move within society. Because you ain't gonna be able to be a man and be boisterous about certain things that you feel about or you believe should be right or wrong. You ain't gonna be able to speak on those spaces. If we got here to talk about what's really going on with the LGBTQ, we won't be here. We got here to talk about what's really going on with the country and the war. We ain't gonna be here. They're gonna shut it down because they understand that once a man can get that message out to other men, to be better men and do the right thing, then you're gonna be right here in the same space 10 years from now talking about, are we safe? And unfortunately, brothers are not safe in their own community.
Yeah.
We understand what it is when we go out to other races, but in our own community, young brothers can't even make it out of there before the age 21. They're getting killed by other brothers who are living in the same mess. So we just got to continue these spaces and get to those younger guys and those young women to talk to them about, like I said, even if I made a mistake, you still have the opportunity to right the wrong and be better. You can't live your life focused on me. I'm 50 years old. You better get on your grind, focus on yourself. So when you can, and hopefully you can get 50, because right now these young men thinking that 35 is old. Some of y'all ain't even finding yourself till y'all 30, get over 35. Some of y'all still got doo-doo in y'all drawers until y'all over 35. So
damn, not doo-doo in the drawers.
Hey,
the doo-doo stand.
It's the truth. I mean,
damn.
And you definitely
My
always
4-year-old son know how to wipe his ass clean. Y'all better.
That's my last thing. You definitely get a different respect from guys that been in the military and got a chance to get away and see different things from the guys who basically stayed in the community, worked in the community. It's a different perspective. So I've been saying it since I've been out here. When you're young, and stop worrying about everybody else. Go see the world. Come back and tell your story. Other than that, we all live in America. We're going to be broke because we average men, most of us. And unless you want something different, you got to move different and learn different. Because without these tech skills, you still going to be loading boxes at Amazon. I digress.
Damn, we might not even be doing that, dude, by that time. They build a machine for every damn thing now. All right, but let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic is, are female politicians abusing their power? So
yes.
Yo, wait, hold on. So let me give y'all the synopsis of why this question came out. But let me read the super chats first. My man Demetrius Carter with $5. Parents not being able to parent is why we are here today. No way I bring a child into the world and you tell what I don't get to do with my child. That is fact. My man Mills 36 $2. Y'all dudes tripping. Do y'all even love y'all moms? Mills, do you? Of course I love my mom.
Says the dude that was talking about
Yeah,
putting their hands on females. Come on, man, get out of here, bro.
Rashawn.
She all right. My mom all right.
Rashawn with the $10. I remember when Shreveport, Louisiana was the murder capital. I believe the disrespect started during the crack epidemic and the kids began to lose respect for their parents, grandparents, and people in general. That's a very detailed, like, to pinpoint it. I think that if you had to go historically, that's one of the definitely one of the reasons. So the reason I asked this question about female politicians is because we've all in the last week seen this accusation frenzy. And I didn't know until, a few days ago that it was a result of a law enacted by the governor of New York, who is a woman. And I can't explain it that well because I just found out. But I do have a video of a dude basically explaining that. We're going to watch it. It's a 2-minute video, and then we're going to get y'all thoughts on it. So we're going to switch it up a little.
Pay attention, fellas. This is deep. I was reading about this today. This is deep.
Oh, I was like, maybe you saw this video, maybe you did.
Man on this list has been sued for sexual assault. Now, what you probably don't know, all of these lawsuits were filed in New York. All of these lawsuits were filed last couple of days. And all of these lawsuits involve very old, claims. In the case of Mayor Eric Adams, you're talking about a woman claiming sexual assault from 1983. That's before I was born, more than 30 years ago. There's time limits to filing lawsuits, right? You can't just wait forever. How are these people able to file such old lawsuits against these guys? Well, what's going on here is the Adult Victim Survivors Act. The New York State Legislature passed a law that said that if you're a victim of sexual assault and you never filed a claim because you were scared, because you were this, because you were that, and now it's too late, well, we're going to open up a 1-year window from November 22nd, 2022 to today, November 23rd, 2023. Today is the last day within this Adult Victim Survivors Act window to file a lawsuit. And what you have happen in these sexual assault cases, probably what happened in the Diddy case, people don't file the lawsuit immediately. First, they call you and they say, hey, do you want to pay me to settle this lawsuit? Because if you don't, I'm going to file it, and then it's going to go public. So before they go public with it, they use that leverage of keeping it confidential, keeping it out of the public eye to try to settle. Now, if the celebrity defendant, whoever it is on the other side, doesn't care and they say, no, I'm not settling, you go file, then you go file. So in this case, the deadline to file these old claims was today, so they kind of waited and they were trying to negotiate, keep that leverage of keeping it confidential, and then eventually when you don't get
All right. So it just paused, but yeah, man, he basically explained that. He explained the hell out of that. So that law, Adult Survivors Act, was enacted by the governor of New York, who is a woman, which begs me to ask the question: are female politicians abusing their power? Is that shit even fair? Cam, you got it. You got it first.
Well, I think this is also a very difficult one to tackle, especially when you look at there's a lot of good and a lot of bad being done on both sides of the spectrum, men and women. We've all done our fair share of wrong. I think looking at this, especially now with the evidence we've been given just from the video, it really does make you think. Do I think they're downright abusing anything? From that alone, yes and no, because I think that while some of them, first I want to point out, the Bill Cosby one, there was a lot of evidence for that, right? But like with a lot of other ones, there were points in the trials that there wasn't a lot to go off of. There wasn't, because you can say, yes, he did this, he did that. But at the end of the day, if you don't have concrete evidence, it's really hard to make the decision. But I think because that act was passed, and because of, say, like the behind closed doors trying to settle with them, and then because I don't believe in that. I think that they would have gotten their money. It was more of a form of blackmail, and then they would have went in for it anyway, try to file for him anyway, and then use that money against them to leverage their case in the court. So do I think it's abusive? I think from some angles, yes, absolutely, but not from. I don't think the act itself was abusive. I think the people using it against the defendants was abusive.
Cam, did I just hear you correctly? Did you just say you need evidence to win a case in the United States of America? Is that correct?
It really depends on your scenario, man. It depends.
For Cam,
I'm telling you, as somebody who was in law enforcement, you don't need no damn evidence. There's a thing called circumstantial. All I gotta do is put the pieces together. All I gotta do is put you at the scene and just put the pieces together, and your ass is guilty. I've seen it happen many times.
That's true.
Evidence, bro. I've been on cases where they didn't even call out the crime scene units. There was no pictures being taken. There was no DNA swabs. There was no warrants. And that dude is doing 5 years right now.
So let me tell you why. Let me tell you why this shit is so cold. This particular accusation frenzy that's going on. This is why it's so cold. What's happening to these dudes? You don't. Nobody's. I'm not dumb enough to speculate on what happened or what didn't happen. All I know is written in law. There was a statute of limitations of how long you could wait to file a charge for it to be valid. All right. So that's what we do here as educated people. We go by what's written in law. Almost all of these claims, they went past the statute of limitation. Almost all of them, I think. All right. Now, the craziest part about it is that when you accuse someone after this much time, in this particular case, where it's dealing with SA or sexual assault, especially post Me Too movement. It is such a polarizing topic, especially around celebrities, that you don't even have to prove he did it. He got to prove he didn't. If
Fact.
he will lose in the court of public opinion, which will tell his lawyer to his lawyer will tell him to settle, which makes him look guilty any fucking way. That shit to me is the coldest. That's probably like the coldest shit I've ever seen. You likely either don't remember the encounter, whether you were there or you weren't. There's no way for you to get camera evidence at this time because the business probably don't have it. You know, their camera done reset 100,000 times since that moment. So someone can accuse you this late in the game, and the burden is not on them to prove you did it. It's on you to prove you didn't. That is what makes this so dangerous. And I think that is why if women needed an educated man's version to tell you why this is bad, it's because it incentivizes you to lie.
And I think
and also in civil court, the burden of proof is much lower. You barely have to prove anything in civil court. Remember, O.J. Simpson was found innocent in criminal court, but was found guilty in civil court.
Yep.
I think it's a bad look for actual victims. Not saying none of these women not actual victims, but all this kind of money grabbing stuff, not trying to get legal repercussions, it looks suspicious. And waiting 20 years, 30 years, 9 years. I can't remember what I did 5 years ago. And it's really scary. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Any one of us up here can blow up like Kevin Samuels did or something at some point. You know, just blow up and get massively popular. And think about girls coming out from 20, 15 years ago that you might have dated, that you had consensual activities with. Y'all might have got drunk after the club, got a little freaky. She's 40 now with 2-3 kids and a husband, and you're popular. So now she sees it through a different lens.
You know what?
It through her 45-year-old lens instead of her 25-year-old lens.
So you're alluding to my second point on this, y'all. This is the point. So let me because the chat loves to have a field day with these conversations. I'm pretty sure I speak for every man on this panel to say we do not condone SA or grape in any form.
Absolutely.
Any form. We do not condone it.
100%.
What I am afraid of is that because what we are allowing with this crazy changing of the law and reinstituting of, like Adult Survivors Act and all of that type of stuff, what I think is happening is something that's very dangerous. And it's not fair. That's the basic. We are allowing women to change the meaning of what grape and SA means. Meaning that if you can change your mind about consent years after, because let's be real about what is possibly happening. You, especially with celebrity, it don't even got to be a celebrity. I was a frat boy on campus getting this type of ass, okay? And basically, we all know when we're that guy or when we're having our moment in life, the way women kind of fall at your feet and they kind of, get kind of weak weak at the knees, and they're making all kind of sexual innuendo. And the part that I don't like is that at least 50% of the time they're the aggressor. They're the ones asking you to come to their room, or can I come in your room? So I hate when we pretend like that dynamic does not exist in these situations, but we're allowing them to change their mind after the fact, probably because they felt bad about it. That to me is not SA or grape. It's like you can't 100%. That's why I'm like, boy, more people will. And to your point again, Red Pill Ranger, what's going to happen is it's going to take men still have this thing where we want to protect women by not being as aggressive toward them as they were toward us. Even if we get accused, right? It's like she punched me with a lawsuit, but I ain't going to do that to her. I don't want people thinking I do that type of shit to women. We're going to get to a point in society where men have to start doing bitch ass shit. And we're going to be like, you come at me like that? Oh, you've already smeared my name. Not one of these things happen, I'm going nuts on you. I'm gonna do what Cardi B did to Tasha K.
And
Take
this
her
is crazy.
fucking house.
If I was,
Take her
So-
house.
if I was a
Sue her
celebrity,
for slander. All of that.
if I was a
So I'm-
celebrity, I'd be scared to date. If I was a celebrity, I'll be scared to date in today's culture. The moment you call off the relationship, the moment it don't work out, she can go to the shade room in TMZ, hit you with some allegations. Everything y'all did consensually was done under duress and pressure and all and things of that nature. Like, I don't know what these guys gonna do. If you got status, clout, fame, and all that, you almost can't have intimate relationships because it can be monetized now. These people might want companionship, love, romance, wife, fiance, and all that. But it's scary to be a person of a certain status and pursue any of that in today's culture. Just like it's scary to have goals, dreams, and ambitions and finally achieve them. I can think easily of 15 girls that could come out the woodworks and twist some stories about me. Easily. I ain't do nothing to them. I ain't done none of that. But it, like you said, when you was young in college, in the military, 22 years old, best shape of your life, running through the barracks, having good times, those stories can get turned to anything. And now you on your soapbox trying to explain some shit. And it's sad, it's scary.
It is
So
scary.
I just want to.
AB, real quick. AB,
Okay.
real quick. Let me respond to this. So Fifi says, well, maybe it will decrease jump off culture. I guarantee you it's going to take a while. And, Trey doesn't like that this is going to happen, but it's going to happen anyway. This is society always corrects itself. This is some of the beginnings of what's going to happen to decrease whole culture. Hoes got to become undesirable again. Because the craziest thing ever is that this used to be an underground thing. And now hoes out here winning $1 million lawsuits. Oh, no. Society can't have that. You see what I'm saying? So it will eventually start to decrease whole culture. All of this shit's going to start going back underground.
You got too many cents for that, Trigger.
Isn't that going to still come at the detriment of the black man? A lot of these things, because the women are allowed to have this type of behavior. And
Well,
the brothers are still suffering.
Yeah, but even these women, so think about it. Even these women gotta die. They gotta die sometime. Right?
So,
Nah, we like hoes. That's the reason why hoes still here.
But remember, there was a method in which we have dealt with hoes. The worst part about it, like I said, it used to be an underground culture. I deal with you when I deal with you under the cloak of secrecy. Right? We used to have brothels. You do this type of stuff. The worst thing that ever happened is that we start glorifying hoes in public. We start taking them to the Oscars. We start taking them to the Grammys. And we let the culture become mainstream. Push that shit back down underground. That where it belongs. But y'all got to go.
Yeah, but you can't push it underground because the media is it's in your pocket. Technology, social media, you literally can record something at a moment's notice and put it anywhere, and anybody can see it and blow it up.
All right, so now we're gonna go toe to toe on this whole thing. Now I got questions for you, HD.
Okay.
You obviously, just like me, got a bunch of titties and ass like that you didn't ask for up and down your Instagram stories. I mean, up and down your Instagram. Do you not? Just people like women turned around, big ass. Okay. Have you become desensitized to titties and ass over the years? Because so much of it.
Absolutely not.
Oh, I have. No, what I mean,
absolutely not.
Bro, no. What I mean though is there's so much ass, right? Okay. In fact, that was the wrong question. Do you remember the first time you ever took a girl's bra off?
Hell yeah.
And you seen them shits fall in your face. Is that not respect? Is that not one of the greatest male moments of your life that you can remember?
For sure.
The young boys don't have that feeling no more. They don't have it.
Did you say fall, Trigger Mike? How saggy was these things?
All right, god damn, Trey, you derailing my point. What I'm saying, these young dudes have seen so much of that shit already before they get to the girl, right? It's not the same feeling anymore. So we are all naturally going to become less proud to see new titties because we've seen everybody titties. They showing them shit for free on Instagram. I'm telling you, always corrects itself.
You can't match real life.
A lot of these men are growing up with their mamas showing their ass and titties. That's how they growing up. The dudes are wearing their breasts out,
sh-
and the
Trey,
mamas got their
Trey.
breasts out. The mamas
Last
out.
night, we had Thanksgiving at my house. We did a dope little R&B game. My wife ordered off of Etsy, right? I put it on the TV. Then my wife was like, "Oh, snap. Let's do trap karaoke." That's always fun. So trap karaoke is a big Zoom thing where they got two dudes DJing and they just bring up people in their homes dancing to the music they playing. I cannot tell you how many women were literally hiking their dresses up, shaking their ass with their little kids there, bro. Like I was sitting here like rubbing like this. I had to send my kids upstairs. The shit was disgusting. So that's the type of shit kids are seeing in their young.
Well, I agree that they're seeing something that's crazy, but the reality is seeing it online and seeing it in person is two very different experiences.
Thank you.
You can honestly, because they're seeing it online, it's decreasing their want to go outside and get it. I can agree with that point. And that they're not as willing to take the chance to go get something that is possible versus something that's guaranteed. They can go on their computer and it's guaranteed and it sits right there in their face. But everybody know that when you stop being online and you go outside and them titties is in your face, it's a very different case. So I understand the point that you're trying to make, Mike. I get it 100%. But the reality is reality. What is real will always beat what is fake. It always will do it. And the issue is it's not that we're oversaturated digitally with it. The issue is that oftentimes is that we think that stuff is more crazier than what it actually is. The reality is that life is actually pretty simple. You go outside, you see something that you like, you find it's a numbers game when it comes to women. You talk to 15 women, guarantee you, if you, as one of my brothers said, if you're slightly above average, right? You can construct a decent sentence and you can say, "Hello, how are you doing? My name is such and such." Sometimes you get points just by the attempt. You could be stumbling over your words, nothing is right at all, and you literally can get a pass just because you the only one that decided to actually say something to them.
You know, that is kind of true because I honestly don't understand how dudes get no ass out here.
I said it earlier.
I don't understand when they said that there are so many male virgins. I was like, how?
It's a sexual
The reason why is
They give it
because
this
of
kind of way.
well, the reason why they're not getting anything is because they think that if they think no is it's almost like death. Like unwillingness to even ask other people to hook you up. Like just randomly going to go talk to a woman could be a very anxiety filled experience, sure, but you ask enough women of a question, or you just even ask your friends or your girlfriend's friends or some other friends. Like you can literally, if you don't really want to do a cold approach, you can literally be, "Hey man, you know such and such, or you know anybody that looks somewhere." We don't understand that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And if you're a halfway fairly decent brother, no matter what your skin complexion is, even if you short, even if you tall, if you just got a bare minimum uh ability to articulate a simple thought to a person, I'm telling you, you just increase your chance tenfold.
When's the last time y'all been outside?
Last weekend.
I was
Never.
outside today. What do you mean?
Never.
When I say outside, I'm talking. When's the last time you were in a
Any street
nightclub?
with the hoes like you be? Is that what you asking?
That's exactly what I'm asking, Trick.
Is that what you're asking?
Y'all been outside?
Listen,
Nah, not recently.
Last weekend.
Okay, what was your experience, Red Pill? Is it as simple as they making it seem?
No, it's not like it was back in the day.
Thank you.
These women don't even make themselves remotely approachable. They
Come
don't know how to converse themselves. Their head's always in their phone. They roll in packs. Walking up to them terrifies them almost. People don't have the social skills that we grew up on. I'm 45 years old, so I know exactly the social skills most of us grew up on. And these people these days just don't have it. They don't even like to talk on the phone. Like they communicate through text. So walking up and hollering game stuff, that's dated, that's antiquated, that's some dinosaur shit. These
Red pill.
girls
They don't have banter. They just don't even know how to banter.
no.
Like if you can't even just have light flirting with women, and yeah, she may not be interested in you at all, right? But at least there was at some point in time where she knew how to carry a conversation with you, and eventually at the end she gonna let you down easy, and you gonna go on about your way, she gonna go on about hers, right? But if you try today to have a conversation, see, it's twofold. Now, I'm not saying that the women are gonna get off, the men are gonna get off easy here, because a lot of men have no idea on how to even spark a conversation, how to even approach a woman today, because they don't have to, right? It's essentially the same concept that we have with women. Women don't have any game because they've never had to have any game. Well, now the men don't have any game because they ain't gotta have no game, right? They can go on dating apps, and Instagram is the #1 dating app, and they get to slide in DMs now. I got a 23-year-old cousin. I've taken him out. He's looked at a woman and said, "Damn, she fine, she bad." I said, "Go talk to her." And the pure fear that comes over his face, over his body, is like, wait, you want me to go talk to her? Yes. I want you to approach her. I want you to introduce yourself. I want you to compliment her on something on her hair, her clothes, something. I want you to spark a conversation and talk to this woman like normal human males do and have always done since before social media. They don't know how to do it. So it's a twofold problem. The women don't know how to entertain the conversation. They don't know how to flirt, and if they're not interested, let the guy down and move on. But the men also don't know how to approach the women either, and most of them are terrified to do it.
So you want to know what's hilarious about that. The women claim all the men need to do is be more engaging and emotionally intelligent, but that comes from interactions with women, free flowing, earnest interactions with your opposite sex women. That's how you gain that confidence and that ability to understand. Well, I said this, and she kind of made a facial expression. Not going to do that anymore, which they are denying you the opportunity to do. It's hilarious how much people do not understand that the symbiotic relationship, the push and pull, the yin and yang between man and woman, and how you're supposed to grow up with this. And it's a trial and error process in which both men and women learn. The ineptitude on that particular topic is beyond me. But let's get back on topic. Anybody have a good answer for, AP, are female politicians abusing their power?
I'm glad we're bringing it back to the conversation. The answer is not necessarily more than any male politician has abused their power. Now, what I will say regarding the video that you showed, it was the the state reps for New York is only 33% women. So you can't pass a law with just 33%. It took some punk ass dudes not standing 10 toes down on some bullshit they knew would happen, which shows me that is the same shit that happens in society. Punk ass men not standing 10 toes down and standing for something. That happens far too often. And then I'm listening to this conversation with Red Pill and Trey, and I actually disagree with both of y'all. Talking to women and getting a chick to smash is not actually difficult in today's age. Talking about, yes, they're unapproachable, but if you're a soft ass dude, then you probably won't go approach them. If you don't give a fuck and you treat them all exactly the same way, you don't give a fuck, you'll shoot those 15 shots, and one of them will go in, as Trigger Mike suggested. But I don't think that they're any worse. Now, what I will say, the politicians, but what I will say, the bad ones are really fucking bad. Like the lady in Dalton, her Tiffany Henyard, fucking terrible. Terrible. Yes, she abuses her power. Did Hillary Clinton abuse her power? Yes. Did Stacey Abrams abuse her influence? Absolutely. Did Kamala Harris abuse her influence and power while she was over in California? Absolutely. But I really don't think overall it's necessarily more than men.
Mhm.
But when the ones that are bad are really fucking bad. And that's all
You
I
know
got.
what? I got pushback, AP. I got pushback. Well, it's not really pushback. It's a different perspective. You're right. They're not going to do anything much worse than men do. They're just going to do things more targeted toward women and more targeted against men. Every time they do something, listen, one of the greatest super chats wasn't even on my show. It was on somebody else's show. We think that this game between men and women is a balance beam, but it's a seesaw. Every time you try to unfairly play up and add benefits for one group, you are taking down benefits for the other. And for some reason, it is only when men are in charge that we even find any kind of balance, because men naturally do for their wives, their sisters, their mothers, and their daughters. So it seems like opportunity is more evenly distributed. Fair and just law is more evenly distributed under the leadership of men. This is where women will abuse their power. Let me see what y'all think about this. And this is something I want y'all to notice that has happened throughout history. Whatever belongs to men is considered unisex. Even these panels, women feel free to jump on them. But when we see a bunch of women talking on the panel, we don't assume as men we can just go up there. What is for men is unisex, and what is for women is just for women. So think about it the same way when we let women politicians in Congress, women politicians in Senate. They don't have a mind to do shit for men. They don't. They don't care for men. They don't think about our opportunities. In fact, they think we robbed opportunities from them. So they're only going to do shit for women, which will sometimes take the shape of them doing things against men. And that's how I think ultimately they will abuse their power. Let me tell you right now, reinstituting a way for people against the statute of limitations, this is what I think is going to happen. Let me just give my ultimate answer. The Supreme Court is going to have to get involved in this shit. This makes law look crazy, because if you open the floodgates with this type of law, not that we don't want, because this is what people are going to start doing, conflating essay stuff with, oh yeah, I just don't want men to get in trouble. Absolutely not. We need to find a way for people to speak up when the statute of limitations is intact. Okay, because opening up all these type of laws and to accuse this person or accuse that rich person, I don't know how many non-rich people were accused under this law, which is interesting. You see what I'm saying?
But the question still remains: the women can't do it by themselves, right? Because they are not the majority of the politicians. They're not even the plurality of the politicians. And with that being said, that means that men need to start standing their ground and just saying, you know what, that's some dumb shit, and I'm not going to do it. Like, if we're not standing 10 toes down and we always chasing
the women unfortunately have simps on their side, and that is going to make it increasingly hard. And let me tell you why this is dangerous, and men need to start speaking up, like you said. If we leave it to women, especially the super liberal socialist type, like the AOC, they will start a race war. Those women will. They will start a race war, and they will start a civil war. This is very dangerous for women to be doing this type of law, like the governor of New York. I got to look her name up. This is why it's not smart. Y'all have all heard the term, this is a man's world. This type of situation will let you know what that means. Women, the power that women have was given to them. You see what I'm saying? So once they start making laws that favor women and you start putting men in jail, that's when men start to realize, wait, we the ones with the actual power, and we will resist. Male resistance takes the form of what? Physical aggression. That's what men, like the Queen Maker and shit, likes to call men savages. Fucking duh. We were born savages. We've been savages. We put that shit under conscious control to live in a civilized manner, to to look out for the next man. We instituted civilization, but we were born fucking savages. And when you start trying to put men under your thumb, they will start a civil war, and these men will act out aggressively. That's why I think this shit is dangerous. Who else want to go?
Yeah, I don't think that the women are necessarily well, I'll say this. AP, I think you make a good point. Even if they were to try to abuse the power, they need help, right? So I agree with that point. However, my thing is that anytime you give anybody power, a person that is receiving something that they're not used to, they're going to use it as they see fit. And a lot of times you're going to find a way to use it for your selfish gain or what you think is more important. So I would say some women are definitely using their power negatively to affect certain things. But ultimately, you can't make any decision, even as the president. You can't make a decision unless you have some other people that's allowing you to do it. So I think that it gets very. I thought it was a good point that Mike brought up that a lot of the people that we see these cases done gone up, but of course we don't have information about these other people. But it's very interesting the number of people that have money that receives these allegations, because the reality is the reason why you're going for the lawsuit is for one or two reasons. One, you think you can win. Two, you think that you can settle. Those are usually the two reasons why somebody wants to do a lawsuit. They're trying to force you to get what they want either way, but they're either going to take you to court because they think they're going to win, or they're taking you to court because they think you're going to settle. And eventually, somebody just wants some money at the end of the day.
Yeah, I personally believe that we as men, we've become weak. I really believe we've become weak. Instead of standing for something, we fall for all of this other nonsense. We've been doing it for about the past 30 years, and we've allowed excuses to dictate how we move. Oh, I can't do that because of this. I can't do this because of that. Stop being a little bitch as a man and move as a damn man. If you run across a woman that's yap, bitch, shut up and then keep moving. I'm not talking to present company, obviously.
I didn't bring you up.
That
I did not bring you up to get cursed out, Miss Polly.
That doesn't work. That mentality doesn't work anymore.
You fucking kidding? That's that excuse shit, Trey. That's that excuse shit.
No, it's not an excuse.
Why doesn't it work? It does work.
Because look at the results. It's reality. It doesn't work.
The results are we simp and we fucking cry and complain that women are moving a certain way instead of ignoring them hoes and moving the way you're supposed to move.
It does
work.
No, it doesn't. Just because you think it works doesn't mean it works.
It does work. It's not no.
Nobody's doing it.
We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. It's not that I think it does work. My personal life, it works. So that's not a.
There are 300
it might be conjecture, but it does fucking work.
It's 300 million people in this country,
right? And probably probably half of the men are bitches, and that's why it wouldn't work.
You're not the
because half of the men are bitches. If all of the men stood down on what they stood for,
they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
We got these
at what
ass dudes
can we make a resolution for 2024?
Come on, man.
Can we make a resolution for 2024? Can we stop getting on
all
YouTube?
the other bullshit? It's
can we stop getting on YouTube?
But we sit by the side and we just let shit happen. We got to stop letting shit happen.
Can we stop getting on YouTube in 2024? Can we stop getting on YouTube and throwing out our wishes and our dreams? And let's talk about what's actually happening.
What's happening in your life?
You just talked about your life.
I know my life is great, and the shit.
Your life.
What did I just say? The shit works.
No, it doesn't
It
work
still works
because
because I
your
stand 10
life,
toes down on what I
is
say.
not the
I move
metric.
on to what I say.
No, your life
I
is not
do
the
exactly
metric.
what I say I'm gonna do.
This is not.
And I don't
Okay.
run into the bullshit that
Are
y'all
you
keep talking
done?
about. Oh, we
Are you
can't get
done?
All right,
men.
y'all.
And
Let me get
women ain't
done?
moving the same. That's some hoe ass shit
you
to
done?
say.
let me get these super chats,
That's some
y'all. Let me
hoe
get
ass
these
shit to
super chats.
say.
All right, Big Ant, $10. Trigger
on,
Mike,
man.
I dare you to ask Payne about the first time taking off a bra. Nigga, bras didn't exist when Payne was there. Bras didn't exist.
This idea that because you do it in your life means that 300 million other people are going to do it in theirs is absolutely ridiculous. The fact of the matter is that the men are spineless and they will continue to be spineless because there is no incentive for them to change. If they wanted to change, if men wanted to change, they would have done it by now.
Well,
Hold on.
also
At
another
what point in time?
And men can't follow the simple rule of
there
a
is
guy
another
trying to run a
point in time?
podcast and read a super chats. Come on, man.
What point in
People gonna
time?
give you a chance. You wanted to get your word in, but my man's trying to read these super chats.
Well,
And
you
stay
were
in the
over
bill.
talking. You
Shut
already
the
said
hell
your
up.
piece.
You're
And
right.
you said your
I'm gonna
piece.
talk to you when my man's trying to read a super chat.
Okay, well then
Let him finish,
I'll follow
and
your
talk.
lead. You shut
That's
the
the way
fuck
the
up
shit
first,
works.
then. I'll follow your lead.
It's
You
his
shut
show,
up
not
first.
your
Then.
show.
You
His show,
shut
not
up
your
first,
show.
and I'll follow your lead.
His
You
show,
shut up
not your
first,
show.
and I'll follow your
All
lead.
right, Mills 36 with the $2. Y'all tripping. I love 304 and Thought Culture 24/7. Mills, you're a hard one to. Yeah, I can't even. Mills, you're wild, man. JC with the $5. We are raising men to do what's right for everyone. We are raising women to do what's best for them. God damn, that was a bar. I'm not raising. Listen, my daughter served her granddaddy at the table yesterday with a whole smile on her face. I'm not raising my daughter. I'm sorry, the day before yesterday. He left yesterday, but yeah, I'm not raising my daughter that way. But that is at 100% the truth. All right, Beans, let's get you in here, man.
Yeah, I just want to thank Trey for the clip. I will definitely be clipping that, and he and everybody else who frequents these panels with us will from henceforward be held to the standard that you can't use your life to determine what 300 other million people should or should not be doing. So thank you, Trey.
That was it. That's it.
Yeah, until we get, I don't want to just jump in, and I want to keep the conversation going because I think it is fair for Trey to have his response to AP. Salute. What up, AP?
All right, let's get
and you're right. He
all right,
does
let's
deserve
get
that response.
some female perspective.
Okay.
Let's get the female perspective. All right, Miss Polly, welcome. You know you always welcome on the Trigger Mike show. Damn, what was the question?
Exactly.
Hold on. So is she welcome or is her titties welcome? Which one?
Either. One can show up without the other at any time. All right.
Okay, that's fair.
Are female politicians abusing their power?
Of course.
How?
Of course they are. I would say, of course they are. I do believe that there's a lot of women who don't get the opportunity to really know what power feels like. They really come with it because they've always been in the place of, not saying all the time, not saying everywhere, but the idea that we are supposed to be, in a more of a serving kind of manner. And so when you get, that's for anybody really, if you get power and you don't know how to use it correctly, you abuse it. And so a lot of women don't know how to use power, certain power. And that kind of power isn't given to abundance of women. So there's not a lot of even figures that you can be like, oh, well, what is it like to be a woman in this position? Like, what is this? There's not a lot of people to go to. So when you're in that position, there will be times that you do abuse it. And unfortunately, in the nature of how women are, they're kind of shown to abuse. I know that sounds kind of rude, but it's true. You're shown to abuse your privileges because you're a woman. It's just what it is. So just for example, here's a good example. Like a lot of women don't get out of the car and pump their own gas when it's cold outside. A lot of women don't, if they have a partner or something, or even when they don't, they have this idea of entitlement to certain things. And then you add on top of that the power to enforce that entitlement. So yes, you're going to be good. even if it's not on purpose, you're going to do it. And hopefully you can rectify that. But a lot of women, they're not going to rectify something that's giving them power and, obviously more positive things to them. Why? What's the,
Let me, I need to look it up to make sure I'm not misquoting. I think it was Aristotle. I've said Plato in the past. I think it was Aristotle that said the greatest injustice is making unequal things equal. And what I mean is same when I say equal. If you make women the same as men and they needed your help, they never could women can't make themselves the same as men on their own. So if you simp ass dudes lobby and push them up to our level, psychologically, what we thought would happen in our arrogance is that women would be grateful for that and keep the equality going. But when you make it's an injustice to make them equal as you. So now they're going to start thinking about how to dominate you. We in our arrogance as men never thought that shit would be possible, but that is exactly what we see happening today. Because we gave them the ability to stand by our shoulders, they started trying to step on our necks. Podcast, what do you think? Are female politicians abusing their power?
I don't know if there's a specific story that you're using to highlight the question, but I mean, politicians in general, that's what they do. So I wouldn't, although I would agree they are, and even though I couldn't even tell you a story of it, I just know that they are because that is essentially what a politician does. It's
So just to give you the context,
Mhm.
it was the female governor of New York that brought back that act, Adult Survivors Act, so all these people could open up claims against Diddy and all these other people that got accused. The statute of limitations had already run out, and they created a law to give them 1 year to accuse them legally in court. So that was a woman that did that.
Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing though, right? When you say, are they abusing their power? I would say yes on its face, but technically they're abusing somebody else's power. Right? Technically, the power that they wield is not theirs. It could most certainly be taken away from them. They're feigning power, really, right? So yes, but as you stated in when you made the statement about not making men and women equal, right? If what makes you equal is the other person, you're not really equal, right? If you get your rights from somebody else, you don't actually have them. You see what I'm saying? So the power that they wield, it's not really theirs. The people who gave them the power could just as easily say, nah, right? But that it's being done for a reason. That's the thing that trips me out when I have the broader conversations about the country at large. It's like if you're bragging about the fact that this is the best country in the world, but then 99% of our podcast is us complaining about it and about everything that's going on inside of it. Then at what point do you stop bragging and start saying, okay, this is what's really going on? Look at the people that's really pushing the agenda, because they like I said, they didn't take this power. The women and didn't take whatever power it is they have. It was given to them. It's being authorized, right? So I think that has to be considered. But to answer the question at face value, absolutely. But I wanted to ask Miss Polly real quick. Does she think, I want to ask it in a respectful way, because what I really want to say is, in all honesty, outside of looks, most women don't have any value, if we just being honest. But then I'm thinking about, like, if you're a surgeon and medicinally you can heal people and stuff like that. Okay, you have value, but it's not because you're a woman. It's because you're a surgeon. You see what I'm saying? Do you think that it's a false statement to really just say that outside of looking good and feeling good to a man as a woman, that women just really don't have no value? And if you disagree, what is it that being a woman does that just adds value?
Damn, I had to stop you right there. She didn't hear the question. She was having connection issues because you were really detailing. I was like, damn, she can't even hear it. I'll bring her back up. Let me get the super chat read. She's in the back trying to connect right now. Jess with the $10. I have a white male stakeholder who's the senior vice president. He got visibly annoyed and changed the subject when someone complimented my work. Any thoughts? A white male stakeholder. And this is in relation to a topic we were talking about. Does it seem random? Or were we talking about this?
I would need more context on this.
I would need more context. Give us some context, and we'll try to get this question answered for you. I'm trying to think.
I mean,
maybe he just don't like.
Reads like she's trying to suggest, right, that it has something to do with her being black and possibly being a black woman. And it's competition in the workplace. That's what you get when you're there. You know what I'm saying? That's what you get when you're there. Because the thing about it is, when you are a person that's in a specific, let's say, company or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're like me, one of those people who on the floor, and you're gonna be on the floor as long as you're there because you're not trying to move up. When you're a person that's actually grinding inside of the company and trying to move up, you're always a threat to the person above you. And I don't think people think about that. You know what I'm saying? So they always looking at it like, this man trying to come for my job. You know what I'm saying? So
very good point.
Yeah, I think
or maybe your work just isn't that good, and he's tired of hearing people blow hot air up his ass. When actually it's not that good.
Goddamn. Stop it, Trey. Let me take a stab at this one, because the one word I'm kind of lingering on is complimented.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about if he did this in an instantaneous fashion, right when the compliment came, that is indicative. I've actually seen that happen multiple times. And it's almost as it happens with adults so much that it makes me think about when my kids do that shit. When my daughter comes in the house and says, "Daddy, look, I got a smiley face today, and I got a bunch of 100s on my papers," my son got to go run and get something he did too. You would think that behavior dissipated as children. No, adults still have that freaking behavior. So I'm really knowing your job title would help me better understand, because if he's an SVP, why is he hating on anybody if you are, if you're his subordinate? But the one thing I'm guessing is that people do not like they don't like praise being dished out if it's not even across. Like, there are certain people who, like, have you ever seen where somebody tries to compliment one person and then somebody else got to talk about the team? What is a team effort is because they have to be included in every bit of praise that happens in front of them. And that may not have anything to do with you. That could be psychological from their childhood. Y'all not about to pass me over. I work 8 hours a day too. I stayed late last night. It's a bunch of people like that in the workplace. So
my question is, what did she ever? I'm curious if she ever addressed it with him. If she just ever asked.
Don't address. Listen, man. Most of this type of stuff. Let me tell you why you don't address it.
Yeah, address a senior vice president.
Why not?
Don't address. This is our problem, though. Millennials, all these people, we think everything on our mind need to be said. That's how people end up getting that fucking pink slip. Here, never address anything. This is what I keep telling people: racism, none of that shit. Do not address. Here's why: if you don't have proof, and proof is always a pattern, you cannot prove anything without a documented pattern. Your word means dick against a fucking senior vice president. Okay? Far harder to replace him.
No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase what I'm saying. You don't address the racism or the fact that you're a female. You address your work. If you are a direct subordinate of the SVP, you can ask, hey, is there anything I need to do better? I'm just spitballing without actually thinking through it. But you address it from your work perspective to see if there's any way for you to grow inside the company to help your own growth. You don't point fingers, especially at an SVP. It's simply about your personal work.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking
Is
about.
the senior vice president her immediate supervisor or boss?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Otherwise, that's not the person she should be talking to.
If she is his subordinate, that is the person she talks to.
No, there should be a chain of command. She would have to talk to.
If she's right below him, that's the point. Do you understand how subordinates work, bro?
I didn't interrupt. What is your problem?
Because you're not right in this.
I didn't interrupt you though.
But you're like, I understand what you're saying.
But I didn't interrupt you.
You're not right in this.
Oh, okay. But
if you are somebody's subordinate,
but I didn't interrupt you.
Report to that person.
But I didn't interrupt.
There's nobody else in the chain of command.
That's why I'm asking the question. Where's the senior vice president in her chain of command? Because
Let me apologize to you real quick. My bad.
If he's not immediate, then she would have to talk to whoever's immediate first.
You're right.
We got a problem with that in the workplace too. People just jumping in front of violating chain of command, boy. I swear, sometimes in the work, I just be like, who taught people anything? No, he addressed me, so I'm gonna address him. I'll be like, whoa, let me get out of here, these people.
Absolutely.
And Trey, I just want to do this real quick. Trey, I do apologize for that.
We good.
This is exactly why, I think it's best for some people to just have Section 8. Because listen, I remember, on my last job, they switched out the plant manager, right? They brought in some country ass white boy, and his first change that he made was no more do-rags on the floor. Right? So of course I was offended. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's what you worrying about? You ain't worrying about the numbers, you ain't worried about this and that, you ain't worried about staff being short, you ain't worried about that. You worrying about the fact that when you came in here, you seen niggas on the floor with do-rags on. Working. Not niggas breakdancing, not niggas flirting, niggas working, doing their job, getting things done. And you was like,
flirting. There were girls there, I hope.
Do-rags, right? So when I got a chance to see him when he was walking through the facility one day, you damn right. I went straight to him. Fuck a chain of command. Hey, my man, this new rule you want to implement about no do-rag seemed kind of racist to me, fam. Just want to let you know that. No, it's not that. If you look, it's actually in the handbook. No head garments. Okay. But obviously it wasn't being policed here prior to you showing up, and you show up and that's the first thing you want to do. You don't see how that looks. You don't see the optics behind that. Like,
let me ask you the obvious question here, Beans.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get fired from that job?
I didn't actually. I don't.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what happened. I didn't get fired. I thought I would have, but I didn't.
Man, as soon as you use the word racism or sexism in the workplace, that's the end of the conversation. There's nowhere for that conversation to go. That is it. Like, basically, you cornered dude by saying that. But looking at it, but truthfully, if I'm looking at it from his perspective, and I just came into the workplace, I probably would have done something similar if I felt that way, because I'm trying to give the appearance of, let's say, a professional work environment. And do-rags, in my opinion, especially if there's a policy against it, although it's not being enforced, is not a professional appearance. Just my opinion.
So who though, AP?
I said to me.
Right, exactly. So to me, right, because here's the thing. We're using an example of female politicians abusing power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means they actually had, it was legitimate. They were legitimate in their doings, but we're still looking at it as an abuse. And I think the same thing applies here. If it was in the handbook that there was supposed to be no head garments, then that's what's up. Okay, cool, it's in the book. But it wasn't being enforced because prior to your racist ass showing up, not you, dude, they cared more about the job getting done. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's what you should care more about. They created a comfortable environment for people to be able to, function and not have to be insecure about certain things. And I know people say, "Oh, you shouldn't care about how you look when you're at work." Well, obviously you can't make that claim and then in the very next breath say you want the place to look professional. Right? So it's either you get the care or you don't, right? So that's my thing. You can make the argument, but it was way more stuff. We talking about plant manager shift. One manager getting transferred to another one, and this guy being brought in. I don't think do-rags is the reason why that happened. You understand what I'm saying?
Productivity could be one. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just saying. Let's say from a managerial
They
standpoint,
definitely had a retention problem. You know what I'm
so
saying?
and if that's the case, maybe his first thought was, let's go for a more professional look. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the racist dude head. I'm just saying, like, maybe he wanted a more professional look.
Let me get these super chats real quick. Me University, $2. Women lack nuance and leadership due to emotion. I've said that about 100 different times, trying to explain to some of my female colleagues. One of my female colleagues is I like her only because she understands some of the stark differences between men and women, and she doesn't hate. She doesn't hate. She just be like, "Mike, I don't know what it is." She's like, "Obviously, it must be because you're a man. Can you teach me how to do?" She's very upfront with the fact that she can't get through to her team the way I get through to mine. And we send the same damn email, right? Everybody else is delusional. Or no, he's not better, such and such. But what I think it is that women have a natural they have a natural deficiency in leadership compared to men. And I'm not talking about the garbage ass incompetent men that women love to compare themselves to. They love to do that. They'll put themselves up against dudes that can't conjugate a verb all day, but they don't put themselves up against the most competent men because they know they'll get obliterated, right? We're super efficient, super smart, super engaging, super charismatic. So we have a natural advantage over them. And I told her this exact thing. I said, there's nothing wrong with a woman's competence. There's nothing wrong with how intelligent a woman is. The issue is that once your emotions get involved, y'all use the ability to use all your other strengths. I have literally watched not an SVP, a VP and a director of human resources, the two high-ranking individuals lose their shit on a Zoom meeting and start yelling at each other. Like, what the like, you know what I mean? Everybody like, this is inappropriate. But because once their emotions get involved and somebody feel like they got hit below the belt, they do that little that little gasp, and it's off to the races, bro. It's off to the races.
Well, you just had a politician that threatened to fight somebody. It came up off the panel. They wanted to go fight somebody.
Who?
I don't know his name, but he basically got up out of his chair, walked down onto the floor, and was like, "Let's fight. You want to fight about it?" This was during a session.
In the Senate, yeah. I know what you.
Oh no, they did. He swung.
Oh, he did.
Wait.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah, he swung.
I gotta go watch this video now. I thought Bernie Sanders squashed it.
I thought he did too.
I thought Sanders. He was like, sit back down. Sit back down.
No, there was another guy out there, and he swung.
Oh, that's a good.
I was like,
that was a real good impression.
Oh, I sound just like dude. All right, let me get this next super chat. Me University, $2. Women can't lead charismatically under pressure. Oh, damn! I just said that. Well, yeah, or charismatically. That's the bad part. They'll never but it's not. This is why I said they have a natural disadvantage. Women compared to men when in the charisma game, it is not men that give you the problem in leadership as a woman. It's other women. Women won't listen to another woman in leadership. Where I can charm women on my team to do shit they actually don't want to do. Right? If I have somebody who's already over on hours and they're the only person that can teach a certain class and they're already overloaded, I can charm them into doing extra work. You see what I'm saying? But they'll give a swift no to any other female leadership. Swift no. Like, look, man, you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do for you yet. I ain't gonna do shit. I'm not gonna ask for a bonus for her. I ain't gonna do nothing. I don't know what I'm gonna do for you yet, but I need you. I need you. Like, you gave them like that, they'd be like, all right, I'll do it. Damn, you know. But if a woman asks her, nope, it's a hell no. Yeah, she'll tell her she a single mom and she got kids. Y'all don't know her stress. It's a natural advantage men have over women. Miss Polly, I see you in the back, struggle streaming back there. Hopefully you you know what, everybody, just let us know your Cash App so we can get you some Xfinity or
straight on that.
Well,
that's gonna be a no-go for me.
He gladly tells us he's on Section 8. So whatever compensation he can share with you.
Not even that. No, somebody that got 3 husbands, I'm never hitting their Cash App.
Oh, shit. You right. Oh, you right. He remembers that. He remembers shit.
He should have the best internet in the world. But wait, I want to say this really quickly. Wait, really quickly.
Oh,
let me say this real quick. Let me say this first off. Wait, let me say this real quick before I forget it. I want to say the conversation that we have about women and emotion is problematic. And I'm not saying that anything that we're saying is wrong, but I think we have to kind of view this, and I think I'm starting to figure this out from a conversation I had with Paulo the other day. I think we got to kind of view what really happens when we're critical of women. We think that we're protesting and trying to incite change when we're really just challenging them, right? And so when we have this conversation about women and emotions, I think what we actually do is promote them being more masculine, right? Because it comes off, and I'm not saying it's intentional, absolutely, and I know it's not intentional coming from Trey.
I feel you.
But it comes off as if we're shaming the emotion, right? Which then in turn, what are they going to be, more stoic, right? It's going to put them in a more masculine place. I think what we need to do is sort of praise the emotion to a certain point, right? But praise them for controlling it, right? We love that you're emotional. We really love it when you control it. You see what I'm saying? Because your emotions are a benefit to us, but not when you're over emotional. You see what I'm saying? We need your emotion. It benefits us in society and home. You see what I'm saying? So that it doesn't cause as if
you're right. So you're actually right, but this is the part where it's going to get very difficult. They don't want you to acknowledge the fact that they have emotions at all. So they can literally do that blow up thing that I talked about, the VP and the Director of Human Resources doing. Mm-hmm. They can do that, and immediately you try to call it out like, "Ooh, look, that emotional exchange, like it's very weird, these dynamics when you're talking to women, because I get exactly what you're saying. It will. Now there's a little caveat that I don't think they can actually help it. So yeah, they'll pretend to be stoic and more masculine until they get provoked and they fly off the handle. But again, or they get challenged.
Even to the example that you do use, I think that even lends to the point that I'm making, right? The fact that they look at being called emotional as a slur. You see what I'm saying? Like they get excited about it instead of saying, well, yeah, absolutely. You know, I got a famous clip. One of the most famous clips from off my show was Sherelle going off on Cora about being emotional, right? So I produce estrogen. I produce a chemical that goes to my brain. Like, right? She was just going all off, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? My thing is, I just think like to a certain degree, I just feel like we got to be careful when we saying that. Like I said, I know from you're not doing nothing, you know, to try to shame women or nothing like that. But I think it comes off like that. And then we know that this whole masculine woman thing is too prominent in our community. So we might want to make sure we're not inciting masculinity in women in any way, form, or fashion, even though it's going to be a difficult task.
I'm just curious. Did I hear you right? 3 husbands?
Man, I think I remember her saying something about she had 3 husbands and they was all faithful to her, and you know what I'm
You
saying?
know,
Miss
And
I'm
she
Miss
not.
came out
Polly.
I'm not trying to.
Why you have to do me like that? That's not right. That's not right.
oh my
Can I
bad.
ask a question?
I could be
I
wrong.
don't know that I live out here in the
Let's fuck up.
corn.
Miss
Sometimes
Polly,
I don't
can I ask you a question? It's been on my
how
brain.
they
Are you on YouTube trying to find husband number 4? Is that what this is about? Your silence says it all. You don't
This
need
is
to
not
answer.
how I
You don't
find
need.
husband. No,
Look at God. Won't he do it?
why? Why would it have to be about that? I don't
Can I
understand.
ask a question regarding the workplace?
You can't ask her nothing. Don't you see God working?
Yeah, I see God working every time that she
Break in and
comes
out,
on.
Miss Polly.
Everybody's
Go ahead,
looking
Trey.
down. Just in regards to when you find a new job or you a new hire at a job and they give y'all that big old employee handbook. How many of y'all read that?
Absolutely.
Hell no.
Okay,
I did.
so one brother read it.
I don't read it because it's common sense. The handbook is always common. It's common sense. But go ahead.
Oh.
Well, you can learn ways
Shoot
to
it, Trey.
manipulate policy to benefit you. I'm just saying.
Trey,
Yeah,
you're
no. In fact, I'm sorry. I don't
No,
read it
I'm
in the
sorry.
beginning.
I'm sorry.
I read it when I
No.
think I'm about to get my ass in trouble for
Okay,
something.
so you signed up for a job, understanding what the job requirements were. And most men, you're going to follow that. If it's lifting boxes, you're going to lift boxes. And they're going to tell you lift boxes from the time you clock in to the time you clock out. If you're on the assembly line, you go assemble. You break when they tell you to break. If you're working in a cubicle, you're going to cubicle to 12 o'clock, take your lunch, and cubicle again to 5 o'clock. That's just what the job requirements are. A lot of times, people get certain positions and they argue about the job description, what you signed up to do. And that's where a lot of people, whether you're a supervisor or a regular worker, get in trouble. You know you had to lift boxes, and it said sometimes you might have to stay late to unload these boxes. But you done already made a hair appointment. You done already made an appointment to do something else, and it's going to interfere with that life. And that's where a lot of people really don't understand, because you go to work, you have to do specific things. And if you ever worked in education or you ever worked in positions where you're having a lot of meetings, every time you go to a meeting, they putting something else on your plate. All right, scratch what we did last week. This is something new. You're like, what? I just figured out what we're doing last week. And a lot of people are afraid of change in their own life. So when you got a job that's constantly moving and progressing, a lot of people question that. They get to think, well, why does my supervisor don't like me? She keep telling me to do A, B, and C. But that's what your job requirements are. And a lot of times we go to work thinking that that's part of what we should be feeling. No, I don't need to be your friend to get the job done. But I think men understand that, because we can talk and work at the same time. So a lot of people can't do chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. So it's hard for them to make those adjustments. You just got to be ready to make those adjustments, or you will be one of the first to get fired. You will be one of the first to be let go, not just based on, it's a lot of it has to do with your work performance, but a lot of times we just complain about frivolous stuff on the job. I don't need to be your friend. I'm not going out to drink with you. I'm not going out to dinner with you. I'm not coming to your family barbecue. I'm gonna come to work, do my job, and I'm gonna go home and enjoy my life doing what I like to do. You can't influence me about how you feel about what the boss said to you, and nothing like. No, I think that's where we gotten to today. Just go to work, do your job. Go home, enjoy your family.
I don't
Complain to your
differentiate.
significant other about what it is. Today,
I'm not-
it's scary, because most of us ain't owning big businesses like that. We ain't hiring nobody. I can see we was hiring 200 brothers and sisters to come to work and do something. But even with that, you're gonna have problems, because they don't want to work and get the product to the
Okay, before we
highest.
start slandering black people, let me just say this. I get
That's
the
where we
point that
are.
you're making, right? But it's different kind of people it's people with tattoos on their face. It's people that swear they don't have agenda, right? We got all kind of weird ass people in this world right now, right? So I'm not gonna be made to feel weird because I don't like discriminate. And I'm not saying you're doing this, Trey. I'm just saying in general. I'm not gonna be made to feel weird because I don't like discrimination, right? Nowhere. I don't give a damn where I'm at. Jail, school, work, the
He said,
president. It don't matter, bro. Wherever I'm, yes, because I've been all those places and I've had an event in all of those places where I feel like I had to speak up against discrimination, speak up against favoritism, speak up against bullying. Like on that same job, they said no hats. And then every other day I would see these other motherfuckers coming from the other side of the plant wearing their hats.
Mm.
Why you keep telling me I can't wear my hat? So do you know what I did? I wore my hat. And every time one of the supervisors comes say something to me, I'm like, when y'all tell them over there don't wear their hats, then you can come talk to me. Until then, I ain't trying to hear that shit. Stop telling me to take off my hat and I gotta watch other people walk around with their hats on. That don't make sense to me. I don't care because we on a job. I can get another job if that's the case. And that's
And
what I'm saying. You either have that kind of mindset or you don't. So
but in certain jobs, you can get away with that.
it's a bunch of house niggas out here, and I'm gonna just say it that way. It's a bunch of house niggas out here that's all about capitulating and adapting to their environment. Congratulations to all of y'all that can do that. But you ain't the motherfuckers who made the changes necessary for you to be able to live the way you live now.
Right.
The people who fought for you to be able to make the decisions that you make now, to be able to live and call America the greatest place, they weren't capitulators. They weren't people who just said, you know what, just accept things the way that they are. They were people who didn't accept things the way that they are and spoke up and fought back.
But Ben, you
And
sort
there
of
were. Oh, go ahead.
you sort of dismissing a whole group of young men who've put themselves in positions to be at a certain level in certain corporations, so they have to dress a certain way. You can't say, if it requires a shirt and tie, a jacket, or however it is, dress down Friday. You can't go in there on Monday with your jeans on and say, well, I just feel comfortable wearing jeans. That's just the way it is. I mean, so what do you do to those individuals, even women, who work to get to those positions? And just because of sometimes you just gotta, like, you know what, it ain't even worth the fight, because it's hard for a lot of people to get a job making over 75, 80,000, $100,000. You're gonna have some type of certification, and you work damn hard. That's why women are so proud of their education. I work for this. And that's about the one thing in their life that they really put effort in and money into, besides a BBL. But what else do you do? Especially if you 40, you ain't got time to be saying, I don't want this job and it makes 70, 80,000. You're going to take your hat off and go on in there, or you move to another job that may not be more desirable. You're going to work a little more labor intensive. It's just the
Okay,
way that's the game.
the
That's the way
reason
it's
why,
always been.
but this is what you're saying. This is what you're saying. You're saying the money makes it right for a person to forego their morals, even, right? And I'm
I'm not
saying,
saying the money makes it right. That's just the rules that we have to play by
I
when you try
understand
to
that.
get
I
to these
understand
big jobs.
the point is that this is what we do. If a person, I'll give you an example with the, and I hate to use it because people always say I'm talking about it, but it's like with the bounty system that people use on podcasts, right? If somebody is on my panel and they are being disruptive, I will drop them down for free. Don't nobody got to pay me to do it. You understand what I'm saying? It's not about the money for me. Some stuff is principle, moral, belief, foundation. Some stuff is just that. For me personally, I'm just the type of person that whenever I see unfairness, mistreatment, discrimination, bullying, any of that type of behavior, wherever I'm at, I say something. I don't care about the environment. I don't care what it may cost. In that moment, I say something, right? I'm that kind of guy. So I'm not saying I won't have listen. I had a job and I was basically taking a job from a white dude. And the white dudes on the job was antagonizing me to try to push me to get me to react so they could have a reason to get rid of me. The only black supervisor in the company was the one who told me that that's what was going on. He was like, yo, you was only supposed to be here for 2 weeks, but the manager of the company liked you so much that he wants to hire you on permanently to put you in the other truck. Okay, cool, no problem. But they already had plans for the other truck. You see what I'm saying? So when he told me this, I'm like, well, bro, why we can't woo, woo, woo? And that man looked me dead in my face and was like, dog, listen, man, I got wife, kids, this and that, bro. I can't mess up what I got going on here. Woo, woo, woo. So I'm not gonna lie to you. In my mind, I was thinking, bitch ass, hoe ass nigga, right? But I did understand where he was coming from. You got wife, kids, family, house, mortgage, all this other stuff. You can't throw all of that away for me under the Black Act. I understand you. I feel you. But at the same time, I still think you a coon ass nigga, right? Because you know what these white boys is doing. But you don't want to say anything because you ain't trying to mess up your situation, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like Trey, I get it from both sides of the fence, but for me, I'm just not. I'm just not gonna say nothing, bro. I just that's not me. I can't do that. And the truth of the matter is, I have a lot more respect for people that move like that. It's to me. When I look at the world and the reshaping of the world, it's people like that, bro. It's people that said, you know what, I don't think it's right for you to tell me I can't sleep with somebody just because they black and I'm white. So nah, I'm not gonna be okay with that. And I'm not just gonna rock with that. Right. So those are the kind of people that enact change. And I just have a lot of value for those people. You may think it's small, but it's like if I accept it now, where else am I gonna accept it? Right?
Can I just jump in real quick? And Beans,
Go
I hear
ahead, real quick. Now I'm gonna read the super chat.
Beans, I hear your point, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. But here's the issue that I have. Calling somebody, let's call him a coon ass nigga, right? For doing what that person thinks is the best way to take care of himself or his family, or he could have an alternative means or an alternative method to yours. So, for example, I see your method as throwing a rock in a pond to create a small ripple. Can't we create bigger waves if we work from the inside? So instead of working our way from the bank to the other side, in which you'll never get there, work your way to the middle, and then you can be that agent of chaos and that agent of change from the inside. And I think that's where we as black people have missed the boat when we're trying to make changes. Just my thought on it. And I rambled a little bit, so I'm sorry about that, Trigger Mike.
Yeah, but this is the problem with that. The problem with that is this: his solution was, man, just keep your head down and ignore them. No, nigga, I'm telling you right now, I'm not that guy. Right. And I ended up losing that job because the manager was talking shit about me across the radio. Like we had these radio walkie-talkies so we could communicate. He was talking shit about me across the fucking radio. He didn't know I was back on location and I heard it. And I went right in there and was like, hey, my man, why don't you bring your white ass outside? I'll beat your motherfucking brains in.
So do you see what I said? What I said? If some shit don't need to be said,
absolutely. I agree with you that that's the smartest way to move, but I'm saying, bro, like, fuck that job, man. I mean, it's like I'm not gonna lie, it was the best job I had ever. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
All of the advice sounded great until you realize he gave you a special handbook to spend the rest of your life on Section 8. Because at first I'm like, this should sound good. He's standing up for a lot of shit.
But that's a bad narrative. I don't even want to allow you to finish saying that. It's a bad narrative. The truth of the matter is, bro, I ain't even had the Section 8 for a year yet. The fact of the matter is this shit just kind of fell in my lap. But the truth of the matter is since then I had all kind of money. So it's not that. It's and at that time I ain't gonna lie, I had started my own trucking company. So I thought I was really like fuck you niggas. But the point is that I can't turn this off, Trig. Like I don't care where I'm at. To me, if I see discrimination, I think it was Martin Luther King who said something about, people who stand on the sideline being quiet are just as bad as the people who are, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who are causing the chaos or whatever that saying was that he had, right? I'm not one of those people, bro. Because to me, I think like in response to what AP was saying, the people who say change it from the inside, right? They're literally saying, I'm going to take this bullshit. I'm going to endure this bullshit. And usually what ends up happening is once they get inside, all the way inside, they forget the mission. They forget why they was there. They stop trying to change stuff because they get comfortable in their own position.
Yeah,
Is
I've
the
seen that
problem.
actually happen. All right, let me
Or
get
they hire an entire engineering team of black folks.
Yeah, that's possible too. I ain't gonna say it never happens. I'm just saying more often than not, I would say the case is once people get to where they're comfortable, they forget the mission, bro. But I agree with you that sometimes, yes, it can enact change. Absolutely. I agree.
All right,
Okay.
let me get these super chats real quick. My man, Me University with the $2. They're made to wean kids and be expansive. Women he's referring to.
Mm.
Me University, $2. Emotion is their language. It's fun till it ain't. That is true too. Hella fights last night probably proved that. Me University again, $2. If I can't bend to a man, how will I bend to God? Listen. That's probably the gospel most people need to be teaching themselves in terms of trying to go back and forth with these women that are out here in these streets today. These women won't submit to Jesus, to the religion. What the hell makes you think, other than sexual submission, you getting any act right out of them? All right, for the last topic of the night, back onto the title of the show. All right. If a man is interested in leaving the US, where could he go? Because I say that a lot, right? So I don't just want these to be blanket topics like men should leave the US. It's getting really psychologically unsafe. People really hate black. No. Where else is even better for black men or men in general who are like, look, I don't feel safe here. I don't feel like I made myself into someone who either wants to be married or in a committed relationship. I think about my legacy a lot. I do want children. I wonder what they're going to look like, but I don't want that here and I'm not having luck. Where can a man realistically go to accomplish this?
I mean, he can go a few places, and a lot of places he can go is warm. You know, he can go to Central America, he can go South America, he can go to certain parts of Africa, he can go to uh, Eastern Europe, he can go to Western Europe. You know, he can go to. I wouldn't want unless he's going like Thailand. I don't think too many black people will be fine in a lot of the Asian places because one thing that I've learned a lot about Asian folk don't like foreigners, especially if they're Japanese. Japanese people, they like, nah, you foreigner, you could be born on their soil, be all kinds of similar to them. But because you didn't come from somebody that was like literally born there and you are all
You're a
Japanese,
gaijin.
yeah,
You're a
you a
gaijin.
gaijin. And they was like, absolutely not, bro. Well, you ain't sneaking past us. You close, but you missed it by that much. And I
Oh,
think that
sir, can I say something about that? Just because I went to school, that's my actual area of study. So the reason why they're like that, there's a reason why they're like that. And it's because they're basically being breeded out. That's just what it is. There's not a lot of people who are all full Japanese. So they make those rules or quote unquote like these laws. It's because they don't want to get breeded out. That's basically it. There's not a large amount of full
So
blooded
who are
Japanese
they
people.
mixing with to breed them out?
Koreans is a
Mm.
Korean is a big one. Even though it's like taboo, but Koreans and actually when the Americans come over there, it's a big thing. They are getting breeded out, and on top of that, there's a lot of their women, like here, when they get educated, they stop wanting to have children, so they're no longer even having children. They're actually paying people to have children and get married. They're actually paying for it now. So if you're looking for like the reason why they're like that, it's a lot of it is because they are getting breeded out. So they're trying to make it stop because pretty soon there won't be anyone who's full blooded Japanese.
That's the second time
So
I've
that
heard
is
that. And it's
kind of
not
their
even just
rules.
Japan. Not even
No,
just
it's
Japan.
so
I
it's
can see
something
why
that's
they care.
happening. That's the reason kind of why it's happening. Some of the rules are like that, unfortunately. But there's other places, like you said, you can go. But for Japan specifically, that is a reason why they have things like when you can't hold dual citizenship. So if you have to choose by the age of 21. They have a lot of rules so that they can then keep building up at least their population. So that is the reason why they're doing that.
I
You
would never
can't build up the
understand.
population when they're not really trying to have sex like that.
I don't understand. I will never understand why these people care about stuff like this. Like I
Care about what?
like when she says breeding out, right? It's like it's Japanese, and I know that they say they get offended. I can't tell them apart. But you got Japanese, Chinese, Korean, all these different types of Asiatic people, right? Or Asian type people, right? It's like Japanese. Okay, what is Japanese? I know something. There's something difference between
People from the island of Japan.
and
It's an island, right?
I understand, right? But what I'm saying is, what makes a Japanese person different than a Chinese person?
Whoa. Come on, bro. Language, first off.
Okay, that's external.
Culture, history.
External.
I'm sorry. Government, style of government. Podcast. You smart.
That's
How
not my
did
point.
you even say that?
You're making my point for me. All of that is external. There's nothing internally that makes them different. So what they try, if what they're trying to hold on to the culture,
no,
it is a culture. It is a big part of its culture.
But that's
big
the
part of
same.
its
Oh, well, isn't that the same thing between Black American and African people?
Absolutely not.
How so? What is it internally that makes you different from me?
Because y'all could very well be cousins.
We're awesome.
Yes,
and you're not.
yes. He's grandpa talk like this, and he don't even know it.
No, I'm no.
Show
But
me the way. Hey, podcast. Show me the way. You on the way? Show me the way.
Got your ass. What makes you different from me?
absolutely. No, listen, I'm absolutely in agreement with that, right? But what I'm saying, but that you saying that only helps me bolster my point, which is that there is no actual difference. You're talking about culture, right? That we literally we can practice and keep culture and stories and all of that shit without whatever it is that they think like internally biologically makes them different. That's my point. Now, if you say it's going to get rid of the culture, then I would have an understanding. Then I would completely understand. Like,
that's what I'm saying. They're being Americanized out too for a big portion. There's, like you said, like there's lots of things, but one of them, you say, like, what I'm saying by breeding out is like the look. I know you can't tell the difference. I can. Like, I got to the point now, even in the my area of study, where I've been around multiple different kinds of Asian people. I can literally look at someone and say, "Oh yeah, you're Japanese. Oh yeah, you're Thai." I can see.
You just made.
I'm just saying, I can see the physical difference. There is a physical difference. There, and then there's some who are mixed. Just like you can see if someone's black and white, they're not just black. So you can see some of those things. So I'm saying, yeah, that's part of it, but a lot of it is culture. Like a lot of things they taught, and they are really, really, really big on keeping like a lot of family things together. So like all those traditions, if they're being merged with other cultures, they're people who are not using that, and it's just going to disappear. No one's going to be able to share that knowledge.
I'm not saying that I don't understand it from an identity purpose, but it's not that fucking serious. Like straight up and down. Like it's just really not that serious.
It's not that serious when there's a whole bunch of places in Africa you can go to, but when there's a small island and there's only them, it is a little bit of a big
But I'm not African, so that's what I'm saying. Like I don't
talk about Japan. We talk about Japan.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like she's saying, it's a whole bunch of places in Africa. I'm not African. I don't know shit about Africa. I don't have no.
And if all the Black Americans were just to fall off the face of the earth, and there was no culture or nothing left, then we'd just be gone. There would be nothing. So that's what they're worried about. They don't want to be nothing. Just because you don't care that you're not nothing, they care. So it doesn't matter if you care. The population cares.
No matter how hard you say it, it's still not true.
You know what?
It doesn't matter if you care either.
Let me add this because
absolutely. So it don't matter if they care.
Let me add this before I forget. So HD pointed out that a lot of the places that you go, you may not get a warm welcome. And yeah, sometimes it's just rooted in the fact that you're an outsider. Like a lot of places are like that. And it's literally, it's not even about just being breeded. I'm sorry, it is about being breeded out because you're going to face certain shade for different reasons from different people. The men do not like you intermingling with their women if they ain't got a chance at them. That's natural. So that's natural anywhere you go. You got some dude that's outsider coming and running through all your women, and you don't qualify for those women. That's gonna give dudes anywhere an attitude. The other end is women coming in from different countries, like American women coming in and having access to the men. What they really don't like in those other countries is when um you're in a country in which women have to take procedural steps in order to gain access to a man, but then like American women, let's say, just come in and be all in their face and do it because they don't play by the same rules. So those women will hate those type of women. The other thing that I've seen, and this is actually more specific to Americans, but especially Black Americans, is one thing we got to stop doing. Do not bring your American attitude and your entitlement anywhere else. Because we suffer from a lack of fatherlessness in the home, too many of our Black individuals from America have bad manners. They don't show courtesy and they don't show respect to elders. In almost every other country on earth, that is implanted in children very young. And it's almost only Americans that do this shit. But the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. You have to do that shit everywhere you go. The reason why I've never gotten a bad reception anywhere is because I'm asking people what the custom is before they can tell me what the custom is. Do I need to shake your hand? Are we allowed to hug women? Do we only shake their hand? Is it customary here to do blank? You always go somewhere and look to abide by their customs. If you don't, you an asshole and nobody's going to like you. So I strongly suggest if you aren't willing to do that, don't take your ass outside of this country. We went to Italy for our honeymoon. I was thoroughly loved and liked everywhere because before my wife could reach her hand out to shake a man's, I would present myself like, look, let him know we do things traditionally, like, and let me introduce you. You know, she took my lead after the first time me doing that because these are different cultures. The women don't, in some cultures, the women don't approach a man first, especially with his wife right there. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta get acquainted with the customs of that place and willingly abide by them shits, and you'll be all right most everywhere you go.
Trigger Mike, just real quick for additional context to your question. Why would a man be interested in leaving the United States? Just give me the full context on it.
Right now, I think what these shows have done, like YouTube and stuff, I think a lot of men are scared shitless. When we see our marital rate this low, but then we understand that there's not enough marriageable Black men to marry all the Black women, but the number shouldn't be this low. It shouldn't be this low. So what I think it is that a man who is saying we have no moral compass, no values. The reason I think a man will want to leave this country if he was like me, I don't know what I would do. If I'm 37 now, and if I wasn't married yet, I'd be one of these dudes. I know where I would go, obviously, but I'd be out of the country. Here's why. I am watching well put together women that even come from good homes choose the life of a 304 and a woman that talks trash to men. So
go ahead.
Yeah, even my best guess might be wrong. That shit's scary. If you go pick cream of the crop, like, nah, she come from here, she got this job, her mama's this way, and you still might get a demon and a terrorist. Nah, I can't. I don't like those odds.
So do you believe the majority of women in the United States are 304s or demons or chameleons?
Oh shit. I do, man.
I think
let me tell you why.
You should ask that.
Only in America are they incentivized to behave this way. So most of them are. Shit.
See,
it's sad. It's true.
And I think this is where I disagree, and I'm a bit more optimistic because when I read this question, the first thing I think of is have you tried another part of the country? Have you tried another state? Each part of the country has its own personality. The people have their own personality. And
it's
then
usually
there's
304. It's usually
and-
304.
and then even between the states, they have their own personalities, and the people have their own personalities.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, try to change your surroundings, because you never know what you might find. You never know what you might come across. You never know. There may be someone to sweep you off your feet. Just as you never know, you could go to Brazil and get used for all of the money that you got. Or you could go to Central America and get used for all the money that you got. Or you could go to the Philippines and get used for all the money that you got. I'm just saying that this thing exists everywhere. So, with that being said,
Yeah.
change your surroundings. Go to different places. Try something new. Like, to close off one set of women just because you've had several bad experiences, or you see some talking points on YouTube, or you believe that every woman thinks that there's some type of Instagram model. Change the stuff you do. Change where you go. Change where.
So
How you-
I don't disagree with that, AP. You know I don't disagree with that.
I
What
do.
I think though is it's not just the YouTube talking points. There's strong data to suggest this. If 70% of all the kids born in the black community are born out of wedlock and then go into the sole custody of a single mom, that will let you know that 304 behavior is quite prevalent. You see what I'm saying? And
See what I mean?
so and then
hold on,
so
Trey. Hold on, Trey, please.
Go ahead.
That's what I mean, right? Now when he asked you that question, he said, do you believe that the majority of women, right? But then when you want to make your point about women, you use the black culture. You see what I'm saying? So
No,
that's why I said,
didn't you talking about black women?
But that's my point. When he first asked you if you thought the majority of women, that's why I said I don't think you should ask that question. That's why I like for black people to stick to talking about black people. I think it's kind of disingenuous to speak about other cultures when we're not necessarily involved with them. Now you guys may be, so you might have more context than I do, right? But I don't date other women of other cultures, so I don't necessarily really know what's going on with them. I do know marriage statistics, but that's just because I studied it. But the fact of the matter is, if you say when AP is saying go to other parts of the country, I think now you're inadvertently promoting breeding us out, right? Because I don't give a fuck what part of the country you go to. Black women be black women everywhere you go to, right? And so to me, I disagree with the idea that, you know what I'm saying, you should minimize or limit yourself to just the country. I do also promote that dudes go to other places inside of the country. I do. But I also promote that in looking for women of other races. Because at the end of the day, my experience, I've been in a few states. Yo, sisters be sisters. It is what it is. The sisterhood is real. That shit is the same. You're gonna get your economical differences. You're gonna get your social differences to some degree, but other than that, then that shit be the same all the way through the country. This is a Western world, and it is what it is. The Western philosophy don't stop in New York or Chicago. That should be all out through this motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm trying not to make it anecdotal. I'm really trying not to, but the truth of the matter is, most of the stuff that I hear here, especially in these spaces, has not been my personal experience.
But you know
Maybe
what?
when I was younger, it was.
Let me
But
let me
as
tell
I've
you why.
gotten older, I've changed my associations. I've
Yeah,
and
let me tell
again, I
you why.
recognize
You
this
also not
anecdotal.
hanging with young people though.
But I was gonna say that. So the one thing that like Trey and other people in the dating market say is that us dudes that been out the game for a minute, we got to understand what the landscape, the dating landscape, especially
Absolutely
what it is now. In the last, let's say 15, because we were there for the start of it. I was still in the game for the start of it. What social media has done, it has literally changed the landscape of dating,
everywhere.
and we know that it's women believing that the dude that they're smashing is actually the dude that they qualify for. That's an oversimplification, but it is completely crazy. So what I was experiencing because I had to get, my wife was actually my ex-girlfriend. We had to get back together. That's how much trouble I was having out here trying to date new women. the ideology. That's what it is. I think when podcasts say all black women are the same, they have all adopted the same ideologies, bro. It is so disheartening for me because what used to happen and the way I used to be able to differentiate certain women from other women, you didn't necessarily have to have formal education, but formal education is a sign of refinement. Everywhere you go in the world, if somebody is touting that they're educated, they are basically saying, I have sought a higher level of refinement and will continue to do so for the entirety of my life. That also means that these women are, I'm not going to say agreeable more, but it's almost like not only can they hold a conversation, they have depth in conversation, able to see both sides. That's what people used to say when they were educated. They'd be able to debate and talk, and they were like, what's the term? They were more methodical. Nope. These women now, they're educated for the sake of being educated. They're using it as a bargaining tool to negotiate their gender role.
So keep in mind, it was just September 27th, right? It was just September. It wasn't that long ago. So I'm trying to say that I ain't really been out there like that. That's not completely accurate, right? So I'm trying to understand, like, what.
Oh,
how did I not really run across that type of person?
Because you weren't looking for it, brother.
I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you a qualifying.
I mean, I'm just.
I want to ask you a qualifying question. I've never presumed you or experienced you in a way where I thought you may have been a liar. But I am going to say I want you to tell me the truth, bro.
Okay.
So September 27th, I'm assuming you're saying since then you've been in a relationship.
You were married.
No, it's been 2 years, but that's when that.
Okay, so prior to that, what was the age of the women you were dealing with? Were they in their 30s?
They were.
Any in their 20s?
That I was dealing with or busting down two different.
Yes, see, that's my point. Because if you use the busting down ones, you're gonna make our point for us, right? So we have to talk about the ones that you were actually courting for real relationships.
They were mostly in their 30s.
Okay.
I had 2 requirements. 2.
Mm-hmm.
1, your father had to be present in your life.
Mm-hmm.
2, you couldn't have any kids.
So you nailed it down to about 15%.
God damn.
Right.
Ruthless.
So this is what I'm saying.
Like
even by his own metric, he was eliminating the majority of women, right? Of black women anyway.
God damn.
Willing to deal with
Those
outside.
were my metrics too.
So by using your own metrics, you allowed yourself, right, to you created an environment for yourself where you were eliminating the demographic of people that we're speaking about. So that's why you didn't see it.
You didn't even entertain. That was my honest question. That actually helps.
Yes,
so why don't more of us? So why don't more of us do that?
Because that's not the majority of them, right? And then not only that, a lot of us don't come from that, right? And then not only that, a lot of us don't understand the dynamics of how that plays out. Still to this day, you got people in their 30s and 40s just figuring this shit out due to the content that we produce on YouTube. Prior to that, all we were hearing was it's cheaper to keep her. It's a waste of time. Don't argue with them. Hey, that's your mama. It don't matter that she tell you ain't gonna be shit like your daddy. She doing the best she can. Like, we are groomed to overlook women's toxic behavior from our mothers on up, right? And so then once you start getting into your sex game, you having sex with these same toxic women, and the sex is so intoxicating to that point, right? That now it start to seem like this is the norm. Now you got a kid or two. Now you consistently dealing with these type of people in your life. It becomes the normality. You turn on TV, you turn on the movies, all the women, loud, belligerent, ghetto, all this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it just becomes the norm. You get to a point where you might start prioritizing peace And then you might start changing internally how you receive the world, how you want to receive the world. This is include dealing with women. You start venturing to YouTube, and you get to the Trigger Mike show, and you get to the Kevin Samuels, and you get to all these different places. And now you're starting to understand that, this may not be natural. Now the younger guys, they have this same material now, which is why they're changing. But when we call them weak, I disagree very much. I don't think these young guys is weak at all. I think they realizing their value, and they saying, "Look, this whole me pay for everything, and then at the end of the day, whenever you want to, you can walk away, and then I still got to pay for the life that I provided to you before." It's insanity, and we not signing up for that shit. So fuck
So
you and your
I will add to that really quick, because I do still think they're weak, but in the way they are strong is that they're not as dumb as we try to make them out to be, because we got to remember, men will have sex with these women, they'll do a lot, but they're not dumb enough to marry them.
Absolutely not.
They're not look at these numbers now. Look at these rates of black men and marry, even the ones that are set up to marry. They're not dumb enough to marry women that don't reciprocate properly in relationships. So the ultimate thing they could give a woman, they're refusing. So they're just smart enough to be like, "Oh, you got me fucked up. I ain't doing that. But let me get this super chat." Robert Platinum, $5. The real problem is negative replacement rate of the ones in those nations. Population decline negatively impacts national productivity, aka GDP. The U.S. got that problem too, So I don't even understand what people talking about when they talk about immigration and all this shit. That shit's kind of necessary at this point. That shit is necessary.
So just real quick, Beans, I definitely appreciate that. And I believe HD was trying to tell me that same thing maybe 3 weeks ago. I'm hearing you.
Damn, isn't China suffering from the negative replacement rate too? Damn. You know what?
Yeah,
This
I
shit
just think that it's
this shit is all because of women's education. Y'all give me these degrees back. Polly. No, fuck that. Y'all give us these degrees.
I just think it's interesting that even though women are quote unquote they're graduating and they're getting quote unquote more education, but they're not necessarily making smarter decisions. Like they are going to school. Yeah, they're going to school and they're making money, they're making bread, and oftentimes what's ended up happening is that like, yo, these women are in high positions and they have all this influence, but they're using their influence in a way that doesn't affect a lot of the groups positively. Now, is this all women? No. I've met a number of women that were like HR, I've met a number of women in like HR, like they've been in the game for a while, and they put you on game, and they look out for you like you they son. Oh no, baby, no, do this, do that. So there's a lot of good women out there in the U.S. that could very well be a great benefit to a lot of men in general. The problem is something that we were kind of like alluding to earlier. It's harder to tell the difference between some of the good women because they sound like some of the bad women. They listen to the same music. They have the same tendencies. They twerk in secret. They meet up with their good girlfriends just to twerk in circles. You know what I'm saying? Like they out here listening to music that they don't agree with. They don't have the same lifestyle. It's like they don't trust or believe in anybody else but themselves. But yet when they get in trouble, they're steadily reaching out for help from other people besides themselves. They're looking for a man, they're looking for they girl groups, they daddy, and it's just like, yo, like I agree that the younger generation have more of a thought process when it comes to dating these women, but they're also too young to understand, like, though you're smarter as far as looking at a situation differently, but that doesn't mean that you don't understand. That doesn't mean that you can understand like the damage that can easily be done to you when you're dealing with a woman that doesn't really even understand why she acted the way that she acted. Because women are going to get therapy, they get psychology degrees, they doing all of this stuff in the world. But the reality is though they're getting more training, more this, that, and the third, how they interact with the opposite sex is still the same. They still want what they want, no matter what they are, what they've done. They still want you to be a certain type of way, even though they could make $350,000, right? And they will look at you. Matter of fact, I was watching a highlight clip of this woman. She made $20,000 a month, right? And her boyfriend or husband, he started making like 7,000, but eventually he finally got the 17,000. She literally broke down crying because she basically felt like she was losing herself because her husband or her boo or whatever he was didn't want her to be so masculine and treat him like he's less than because like he not taking care of all the responsibilities and stuff like that. And I was just saying, ma'am, you make 350K a year or however much she made. And I was just like, bro, you don't need anything else. But yet, even though they don't need anything, they still are looking to like take everything from a brother that don't even have much to give her, and she's just losing her mind. I just it's hard for me to understand why women are so smart, but they do a lot of dumb stuff.
Because
Well,
Before Trey goes, I just want to say, Miss Polly, you looking for a fourth? I see them dimples, girl. What's good with you? I'm just
you
joking,
must
by the
be
way.
looking for a
I
second.
hope
He
so.
not joking. He
You
not.
don't
He
need
not.
qualified to say that, brother. You can't even see it.
More
There's
crazy.
there's no reason for us
No,
to do that shit.
listen, I was trying to say. You said I was making a comment on. You're
I
saying that
realized she never said she wasn't looking for a four. I just had to throw that up.
I don't make those.
I'm definitely not looking for a second.
Listen,
I
you guys,
might
how
be.
you say most women are in bipolar. So like me for today, which is really funny. Like so, I'm a manager, myself, and like even in that role, like it is like I don't take on the role of being like over the top, like like do this. I can do that, but I don't like that's not my role. More supportive and helpful, and still in that role of being an assistant. That's how I view myself. I always say I'm a very good assistant. I was meant to be somebody's assistant. Here on this planet to help assist others to get to the place they belong, and I feel very good in that place. That's what I think my purpose is. But when you put women in that kind of position where they're in a management or an upper authority position, regardless of anything, because I don't find myself to be really emotional, but I do make very emotional decisions that are like just like, oh, here, just do this. I don't really think about the consequences sometimes later. And guys aren't like that. They're the other way around. So like when it comes to just me managing over even people, like today I had to make a really big call for someone, and I should have just said, get out of here. But I was more like having them make the choice to do such. If that makes sense. Like I was like, if you don't want to listen to me, then this is what's going to happen. You won't be on the shift or blah blah. And then they had to make a decision. Then at that point, I literally gave someone an option to make a decision about what they were doing instead of being in a role of like, this is what it is, and or get out. But if I was a guy, I probably would have did that. If that makes sense. Like I would have been like, oh, get out here. Like it was a different kind of energy I bring into that atmosphere, even as a woman. So some of these roles of being like head charge of things, I'm not saying no woman can't do it. I'm just saying that if you're in that role, you're going to handle it different because you're thinking more emotionally in that position. And that's why I do agree with podcast when he says like there's this negative role that's connected with being emotional and being like loving and being caring. It's something negative with always connected to it. It doesn't feel good to be called those things. Emotional does not a good word to anyone. It doesn't feel good. So when you put negativity on those kind of words and that represents a woman, then they think, oh, there's something wrong with me being emotional, something wrong with me being kind, something wrong with me being motherly, something wrong with that because there's nothing positive that comes with that. So maybe change, like you said, change those kind of conversations with those words. That might be helpful. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but that could be helpful. But it is a little bit different. I will agree with that. It is a different role. I don't even want to, like, I don't mind being a manager because I know I can run things, but I like someone to tell me how to. If that makes sense, I still feel like I'm underneath someone, even in management. Okay, there's somebody over me, and they're telling me what to do. I'm just following instructions. I still see it as that. I'm completing my task because someone else is telling me how to complete it, and I enjoy that. It doesn't. I don't see it the other way around. So for me, I've made it in my mind that this is an enjoyable situation.
Just so I'm clear, when you
Hmm.
asked the question, Trigger Mike, were you specifically asking the question about where black men can go?
Yeah, I was actually.
Fuck. Well, that kills my answers.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. That's some bullshit. I can't name my answers because all the places that I ever hear people say is
Yeah.
always like Norway, Sweden, Scandinavia, Germany. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Denmark. It's always shit like that. And I don't think that's some place that black men need to be trying to migrate to in mass. But those are the places that I always hear people refer to when it's like, where is it better to live than America? So that's all.
Yeah, I would also say because now the reason this is actually a funny topic is I'm going to me and my dad was just here a few days ago and we were talking and he got me really interested in going to go build a house in Nigeria for obvious reasons. That's where we're from. But he's looking at it, I'm looking at it now. We have a serious moral decay in the States, man. And the part that scares me is that I'm such an involved parent, but I'm not, I don't want to be arrogant in my parenting either to think that my influence is the only influence my children are ever going to have. In fact, they spend less time with me and more time in school than they do with me. So I'm like,
Absolutely.
God damn, what are they getting indoctrinated with when I'm not here? And what do these teachers believe? They'll tell you anything. Because me and my wife are very upfront, like, hey, what's the next quarter of curriculum? And we'll try to find anything that's being taught where they can misinterpret, like, or try to give their own rendition. So, we're very adamant about that. But shit, people can lie just to save their job. They can lie. So, my wife's mother's side, they're black, but it's weird. You haven't met like black Panamanians. Yeah, they're those people. Her mother's side, she the only one in America. Rest of her brothers, sisters, mother and father are in Panama. So I'm actually looking there too. I'm gonna build a house in Nigeria and build a house in Panama because if I could, the reason I would want to go is for my children's sake, just to have them raised in a place where morals and values still exist, respect for your elders, respect for the human condition, that's just very important. And then they can come back here as much as they want.
I mean, you might could go to Idaho or Oregon.
Idaho.
Yeah, I don't know why, bro, but for whatever reason, I just feel like Idaho is the shit. I've never been there. I can't
Nick,
tell you nothing about it. It's just I don't know what it
there
is.
is one
I
dude I
just like
buy
it
gun.
because Ho
Yeah,
is in the name of it.
there's one gun customizer I use in Idaho, and his name is Dave Mods, or he's. Do you know that he shared with me something weird? He just asked me randomly, "How many people does Houston have in it?" I said, "Houston, the actual city, Houston proper, Houston, Texas population. Let me look it up because it's got to be growing. Greater Houston, meaning all of the suburbs, has over 7 million people. Houston proper has 2.288 million people. That's more people than the entire state of Idaho. All right, so every time I watch his videos, he's out shooting in the snow with coyotes and shit. I ain't going out there. You on your own, podcast.
No, I'm gonna tell you. I think now this is for sure, no question. The best spot in America for black men to move to is North Dakota. It's not even close. That's the
You know
best
how many
spot.
black people I know that live there is crazy.
Yeah,
They work for like the railroad and stuff, but they live in North
absolutely.
Dakota.
North Dakota is the best place. North Dakota has the highest life expectancy rate for black men, which is 84. I don't know what the fuck they're doing in North Dakota, but I'm trying to get there.
You see
But
you see this map behind me? This is
yeah,
2021, where most people of color reside in the United States. Most people reside in the South of color. Over 59%
absolutely.
of us reside in the South. 9% of us reside in the West, and most of that is in California, Washington, and Oregon. Not too many people are going to Idaho and Montana and those other North Dakota and South Dakota. You're probably looking at less than a half of a third of percent or whatever. And you best believe you going out there would be a totally different experience from LaQuisha looking for a new start. It'll be a totally different experience.
Not
So
LaQuisha.
you have to be, you know, in reference to this last question, a man interested in leaving the United States, I think at some point, once, and this is where the dynamic, when I remember, you know, just being 18, 21, it was like you were groomed at some point. Boy, you when you turn 18, you leave. Not that they was pushing you out, but they were saying it's another life for you out there. So I can see, and that's why you know you got guys that join the military right out of high school. They're like, man, I want something different, and their perspective is different than the guys that always stayed and grew up and went through their 20s and had the bad experiences dating and went through breakups and got caught up in whatever was going on at that time. Dude sold drugs, dude was killed, families was shattered, and all of that. Their perspective is a lot different. And I think every band is designed to explore to some capacity, whether it's and outside of your neighborhood, outside of your state, whatever. I think you should take the opportunity, especially 24, 25 to 30. Man, go see the world because you may not get those opportunities again, especially if you're a man that's trying to build and you're trying to establish your legacy. You're going to have to set time to find your house and build your family and all that takes time, and then it might be 10, 20 years before you can do it again. The problem is we're so enamored with being in America. Most of us are loyal to America. I don't care what happens, we ain't going nowhere. We can go back to our comfortable bed. We ain't going over to these other countries so you can eat on a stool, eat with your hands. Ain't no forks and spoons. Ain't no warm bathroom. And you're gonna sit there and go out and use some old dried up poison ivy leaves if you don't know what you're doing to wipe your cheeks. So you gotta really, and with the way the internet is now and all these, you can just Google and read up on a lot of these different countries to see if those countries fit you. And somebody said it because I've been saying it all the time. You're not going to get accepted by those guys when you come over looking for they women. You're going to get the same type of women here. Probably here we call them supritas. They at the club. They dropping it hot on the coffee table or wherever they ain't trying to eat, but everybody's over 200 pounds. Ain't nobody eating nowhere. So make that math. So, I think every man should take that opportunity, even women, you know what I'm saying? Just take the opportunity to move around. You ain't saying you got to stay. Go visit your relatives for 6 months. They got Amazons and Walmarts everywhere. You can get your job, move around, until you find out who you are. Because a lot of people spend 25 years and never figure out who they are and what they like because they always trying to worry about, I got to be around my family, the same family that cuss you out and dog you out. I can't leave my boo with this, and that same person that cheat on you, and you know what I'm saying. So you just got to figure it out as a man, what life you want to live, and if you want to live that life, you're gonna have to put in the work. You can't jump me. You can't bypass Trigger Mike. He's put in the work. You can't just think you can come in 6 months on the job and take my position because I can still fight. Not that I'm gonna fight you, but I still have to. I've got the knowledge.
You better than me. I'm gonna sabotage that one.
But that's what I'm saying. You just got to be willing to put in the work. And I think
I'm gonna send a dirty video and say you made it. This person sent me this. I'm gonna
you got to put in the work, man. You can't say
I agree.
and not put in the work.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work, man. And some of
It's
y'all ain't
more
ready
like
for that type of life that you say. You can go to somebody's house and realize, see how unorganized they are in their own crib, crumbs and shit everywhere, but they want to be a boss. No, it ain't gonna happen. Now, I wouldn't want that person to lead me to the toilet. No.
Hold on. Before her internet start acting up again, I want to see if I can reiterate this question to Miss Polly,
Niggas a
right?
fool, man.
About whether or not you believe that women are valuable beyond their physical attributes.
Yes, I do. You know, yeah, they are valuable. You
In
know,
what
other than
way?
that,
damn them
like you
dimples.
said,
Physical attribute.
first, I am. First off, sir, my internet's bad, but I live in the corn, so I know. I live in Nebraska, so at this point, I get bad reception. I don't have the best reception where I personally live. I live like literally next to a corn, so I apologize for that. But yeah, women definitely, when it comes to bringing in that emotional component, that natural emotional component, it's just easy for us to feel like whimsical, whatever you want to say. Um, Being able to connect and try to be more empathetic. I'm not saying that men don't have these characteristics. I'm not saying that, but we definitely will say that on both sides of the spectrum that we do better with this particular, traits, and you guys do better with those particular traits. Not everybody's biblical, but I do think of it as like, hey, we were made from Adam or whatever, and like you took a part so that you'd have a partner, and that part that was taken from you, I feel like that we are the other part. So you're missing something. You're never really complete. So when we are together, regardless, it's a completion of something. How it can, everyone's different. How we get together and how we complement each other does like change, amongst each other. But yeah, women bring that. They bring that to the table. And like I said, like a guy's gonna be more like cutthroat. When like is this cutthroat? I even will say like I like realist. I like people to tell me no. I like them to be honest. Those things because it helps me be better. So the things that I give to them help them think outside the box or whatever. Think of it in a different view. That's what I bring. So that matches me well. So you got to know your match. So that's what I think that women bring, but it kind of helps
I think all of
balance.
that is cute. Like
See,
if
there you go. That's it.
in reality, that's cute. But here's the raw truth. Men
Raw.
are valuable because we allow women to survive. We allow women to exist. That's what gives us our value. You probably wouldn't. Well, I ain't gonna say you wouldn't eat, right? You
They
probably
wouldn't eat.
most likely you wouldn't eat animal, right? But maybe you could eat some vegetables.
Okay, mass production wise,
See,
do
that's why I
women
said raw
farm?
though. See, that's what I'm saying. Not even with that. That right there just leans more to the point, Trey.
They
That just
don't
leads
farm.
more to the point. They would have none of that without men.
Yep, they don't
Absolutely
farm.
none of that without men. You understand? So their only argument to us is that, well, you can't reproduce yourself without us. Absolutely. Got you. We can't reproduce ourselves without you. But that lends to my point that you're not valuable actually beyond your physicality. If you all of the things that you bring to the table are constructs. I'm taught to value that shit. The emotional stuff that you bring, I'm taught to value that. In the natural world, I wouldn't give a shit about that shit at all. I
Well,
just grab you
that's
by your hair and drag you home, and that would be the end of it.
well, I mean that's the whole point. That I know what you're saying. That you're saying like if you're not giving anything, but the thing is when it comes to that, you're saying that you only deem what you can give as valuable, and nothing else is valuable.
Absolutely, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, Okay, one of the things that I believe is that one of the biggest reasons I think there's an issue between relationships between men and women, and I'm specifically talking about black men and black women, is that black women don't value black men. They don't actually value them because they don't think they need them. That mindset alone, to me, shows exactly who women really are. That you can't value something beyond needing it. Whereas men are taught to value women when we don't even actually need you. We don't even actually need you, and we're still taught to value you. We could literally just pump babies in you and move on with our lives, but we're taught to value you beyond that, right? So because
Yeah, and that construct started that. I mean, I was saying like the construct of that, like you're saying, we're taught to say that we don't need anyone because needing someone is a weakness.
no,
Needing someone is weak.
it's not that.
That's what they were taught.
It's not
Yes,
that.
you're taught.
The thing is that we try to pretend like women are the ones who are the nurturing, caring, loving, all this considerate, compassionate. They're really fucking not. Right? Men, that's really what men are, which is why we created a world where you get to exist without being dragged home by your hair. That's the reason why that exists. Not because of women, but because men deemed it so. Because men are actually loving, caring, nurturing, and all of that other stuff. You are the most selfish creatures on the planet, without a shadow of a doubt. Right? And that's why I'm saying I love women, love them, right? Because of things that I was programmed and trained to love about them. But right now, my love for them is like 95% visual. I accept the fact that women are like the greatest paintings ever, the greatest canvases that ever existed, right? To Trey's point about men needing to travel. Well, travel these women. You want to go to Asia, sleep with that Asian woman. You want to go to Puerto Rico, sleep with a Puerto Rican woman. You want to go like that's how you can travel the cultures, I guess. Just be with the different women. Women are amazing visually. They look amazing. They feel amazing. They sound amazing during sex. Like they are amazing in that way. But outside of that, in real life, can we just be honest when we have these conversations? They don't give a shit about men
Well, I
at
think, like you said,
all.
well, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to this generation has transitioned into that part where they're saying, I don't need anyone. That
Set up.
transition also is them becoming more manly. So the things, if you listen to yourself when you're saying, is that they're, we're this way, we're, we're the ones who are doing this. But women are trying to transition into being men because they see no value in being women. So when you're looking at women right now, of course you're not going to see any value in them other than them looking good, because they're trying to take on a whole nother part of them that's not them naturally. And if you've met a woman, I'm not saying a real woman has never had contact with you, but someone who's actually pouring into you, you would not have said these things. But I'm not saying no one's ever done that, but someone generally do that because they care about you and who you are as a person, and not just because you're giving them something. If you have never had a relationship like that, then I understand why you would not understand the value of a real woman.
But it doesn't matter
And
what
I
I
can
do.
understand. That's what
This is what we.
I can
This
get
is
it.
what I
I
said.
get it.
Wait,
But
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
you
hold on. I want you to understand something. No, I want you to understand something. See, I'm a very logical person and I'm consistent. I told Trey earlier that I was clipping him because he said you can't use your anecdotal experiences to speak for 300 million people. Nor will I. I don't care if every woman in my life has loved me beyond measure. I know what I see for the majority of the world, and it's not that. So that would still be my take. My experiences do not dictate my opinions. You understand? My information does. So if it's 10 guys, 9 guys, and I'm the 10th one, and all the women in the world have loved me awesome, but the other 9 guys are saying they have been through hell, I'm not gonna say, well, that's just y'all, or no, that can't be. Like, I'm going to accept the math. The math says that women don't give a shit about us. I can go to 1,000,000 women and ask them, do you think men should have parental rights? I'll ask you, baby is conceived. Should a man be forced to pay child support? Yes or no?
No.
So you don't think if the baby is born and the man says, I don't want to have to pay for it, he should be able to not have to pay for it?
Exactly. I think the law shouldn't be involved in it at all, but that's a personal note.
So you don't believe in the concept of a deadbeat dad?
No. But that's me personally. Yeah.
Cool. Now, do you think the majority of women agree with you?
I think the majority of women want assistance with helping with something that they took on. But that's a
Right.
personal issue.
How about the question I asked? Do you think the majority of women agree with you?
Probably not, no.
Okay. Do you see how that
I
works?
have those numbers.
But that's what I'm
That's
saying.
what
Do
I'm
you
saying.
see how that works?
I
Just
don't
because
have those
that's
numbers,
your
but the
experience or
majority,
your belief doesn't mean that it applies to
exactly.
the majority.
It doesn't apply to everyone exactly. But what I'm saying
Absolutely.
is that you're applying that every woman, and you said world just a couple minutes ago, you said all women in the world, there's no real value to them, and then other than that. And based on numbers in other places, there's many women who do not base it on that and their actions. So you can't really bring that into it.
You can.
So you can
Because
say black women, you can say black women, black men based on this area and these statistics, but then you have to show those numbers. So if that's what we're doing.
Why?
Because you said world, so that includes other places, and other places
Absolutely.
that is not the case. So that's
So you
not the
can give
case.
me an example, right? Give me an example. That's what I was saying. Like you can't. I want you to give me an example. I'll tell you. Men feed women. We literally kill animals so that you can eat. Right? Men stop other men from taking your most valuable prized possession. Men created laws to protect you. Men gave you the right to vote. Men gave you access to government assistance. Men have done all this for you. What have women done for us in general, specifically for us? What have they done?
Okay, and you want to make sure I'm getting it right for us as you as men.
Absolutely.
Okay, so first off, you got to answer your own question. Is women aren't in those roles to make those changes, so they aren't. And then when they are, as you can clearly see, when they get the power and they never had it before, how crazy wild they can be. So if
Power
you're
given to
changing
them by men. They're using
you
men's
would
power to
have
enact
to.
what they want.
Exactly. You would have to. If I'm going to answer your question correctly, right?
Mhm.
I have to say you have to put them in the place for them to do that. So do I have an example of what they've done right now? No, but it's based on the fact that there isn't any women in place to have made any change. There's not any women in place running anything to that degree that there could be changes. Now, I don't know if they're bad or good, but there's nothing that I can show with documentation that shows they can do anything because they weren't allowed to do such.
Right. So I'll give you an
So
example of
that's what I'm
something that
saying.
women. I'll give you an example of something that women do specifically for men.
All right, then we're gonna let Teyana go after you. Go ahead.
Oh, what's up, kid? So something that women do specifically for men is breastfeed. Specifically. Now we know that they do it also for girls as well, but I'm saying this is specific. You breastfeed, you feed us, you give us the nutrients and things to make us stronger human beings, well, as we begin to grow up, right? What is it called, Trigger, when you're farming, growing plants and stuff?
Yeah.
Cooking, creating, developing food, right? Women have done that historically, right? So that was something that they could specifically do for men, provide us with the nourishments that we needed. This is after they're done breastfeeding us, right? This is something that they could specifically do for men. And it is because it is essentially because they're women, to be honest with you, right? Yes, men can do it, but it was specifically because they were women that they were in this task and they were able to do these things. What I'm saying is that nowadays what we're looking at, women aren't providing anything. They say shit like I am the table. Right? They don't want to actually have to bring anything to the table outside of their presence. Right? when they get their degrees, it's not I'm gonna get this degree so that I can facilitate some sort of form of economical resource to further establish the foundation of my family. No, I'm gonna get this so I can take care of myself, and then when I get a man, he still got to come in and pay for everything while I get to sit on my ass. It's never nothing for us. It's never about us, or it's never about the man. It's always about you all. There's no real altruistic value to women. As far as I can see it, I still worship them visually. Nothing on earth compares to a woman, especially a melanated one, Puerto Rican or black. But when it comes to the internal part of women, I don't understand why that's not more important to women, to actually figure out how can I be more valuable to my people, my family, my society at large. It seemed like that was the case for a little while, maybe through the 1900s. But at some point that kind of got lost. That it wasn't enough anymore. They needed more. They, like to Trigger's point, they wanted to be superior, right? If you even look at Eve, the story of Eve, what did the devil, they didn't know, they didn't have any knowledge of good and evil, remember? So what did the devil actually tempt Eve with? Right? What part of her did he actually tone into to get her to go against God's will? And that was her ego. Yo, you can be like God, which will put you above man and make you equal to God if you partake in this fruit. And she jumped at the chance to be superior to man and equal to God. And I think that's what we're still dealing with right now. Are women trying to be superior to men and godlike, worshipped even? And there's no altruistic in that. There's no real value in that. That's just my take. And I'm still worried about you having 3 husbands.
I could dig it. Chaotic, my man.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm chilling, bro. Getting ready to sleep in this mode. What you got for us, bro?
Oh, well, yeah, I just got done monitoring and controlling a live stream on one of my second channels, and I saw that you guys were live, and I saw the topic, but it seems like you guys are on another topic right now. I'm talking about the title. It says, "Grab your passports, fellas. It's time to go." So I saw that. So I didn't know whether you guys were still talking about that or not.
We're still on it. They took the question on the table currently pertains to it. Is
Okay.
If a man is interested in leaving in the U.S., leaving the U.S., where could he go? So yeah, we're kind of on the topic. What are your thoughts?
Well, to answer the immediate question, preferably Africa. If he is a black man, but hey, you know what a man does with his is his business. But I do, since I've been in the topic of discussion about passports lately, through an inadvertent conversation on a panel, I believe that any American man seeking third world coochie has a deep-rooted problem, if you ask me. It's almost like, I put this in the chat, right? Imagine, you're driving a Maybach, and you leave your Maybach in the garage because I don't want to pay for the gas. This ain't that eco-friendly. And then you're driving into the city with a Geo Prism. And that's essentially how I see passport bros to a degree. It's like you're making an excuse because you can't manage a high maintenance vehicle. And this is no shade to anybody, to be honest with you. It's just the way that I see it, right? I see everybody gives excuses. Well, American women are hypergamous. American women do this. American women that. It's just that you haven't mastered American women. You haven't mastered the best women on the planet. I mean, you're running to some Brazilian woman. Oh, of course she'd be on her hands and knees serving you. She's living in abject fucking poverty in a favela. Of course she'd do everything for you. She wants to get out of that. Of course a little Colombian with dirty feet would treat you like a king. Of course she would. She lives in an unstable government in a crap hole. Of course a Dominican chick will fucking suck all weekend. I know a lot of dudes personally. They go to Dominican Republic. Oh man, I was with this chick for one weekend. It was only $50. I said, don't you see the ignorance in that? $50 for a weekend? Man, you just mad. I'm like, I'm mad. No, bro, don't you get that is a level of, I would say, light treason, if you ask me. And you're leaving this country and giving money to another country, even though these countries aren't enemy states, but you're giving money away to these people who they don't care about America. They don't. It's just that they're so destitute and downtrodden that they'll sleep with you. And that's why I just don't understand this whole passport thing, man. It's just the weirdest thing to me, man. But that's just me, though. That's just me. That's just my opinion. I've been live streaming all day, so I might be a little tired, so I might not be making any sense. But yeah, if you are a black man, I would say go to Africa, particularly to get you some third rail coochie, particularly not Congolese, Sudanese women, or you know who got some good looking women though, man? Liberia, man. Liberia has
listen, bro.
Liberia has, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm married now. I'd never tempt myself by going
absolutely
to Cape Verde, South Africa, or Liberia. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but see, the problem that I have with like South America, and I'm gonna land a plane. The problem that I have with like South America, particularly, I don't know if the islands are technically South America, like, you know, the DR. Man, a lot of those chicks look like, okay, but a lot of those chicks to me, and I went to school with a lot of DR and well, just mainly Dominican women. They look like Manny Ramirez in the face, man. I'm like, these bitches don't even. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Like they're not ugly, but they look like Jose Ramirez in the face, man. I'm like, these baseball playing looking chicks. I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, they might not be like, you know, when they're younger, they have nice petite bodies, but a lot of those chicks, man, I'm telling you, man, they look like Jose Mesa in the face, man. I'm like, oh no, stop it. You can't fool me with that nonsense with these. I don't know what. Now, I will admit though, Zoe Saldana though, she's a Dominican and she's a sexy Dominican. But other than that though, man, I don't see I don't really see a lot of those women as. They're over exaggerated in their beauty. People will say that Brazilian women have the best bodies, but a lot of that is, you know, third rail BBLs. They get it for cheap and they end up looking crazy. They end up looking like Gumby when they're 35 because all those surgeries.
I will say you got to be careful with Hispanic women in general. They don't age well. They age like milk.
Yeah. Mira, ¿te come?
Yeah. Puerto Rican girls are the best thing until about 25, and then
about 20.
Yeah, he said 25. I was gonna say 30, 37.
Well, you know, but to be honest with you, most even American women, man, it starts going downhill about 25, 26. Because a lot of them drink, they party, weekend,
they drink and smoke. That's
look. They end up
starting to see there's a skin darkening and a light, dark under the eyes.
Yeah.
When they smoke, I was like, "Oh, damn, yeah."
Oh,
your face don't look
exactly.
Your face doesn't look as flush with blood as it used to.
And you know who looks really bad when they age? And I hate to say this. Well, I really don't hate to say it. Southeast Asian women, man. Oh my God. I mean, about 24. I mean, they look like Betty White in the face, man. I'm like, oh no. And that's why I don't understand. Like, if you look at like Vietnam and a lot of those countries over in Asia, and a lot of dudes go over there, I'm like, y'all are only going over there for third rail coochie. A lot of these people live in the most abject, impoverished environments, lack of sanitation, listen, they don't call them favelas over in Vietnam, but these people are literally living in wood shacks on top of some like river or something. And I'm like, y'all dudes are going over there for poor ass pussy, man. These people don't even have running water sometimes, man. Like, what is it with this romanticization of these people? I just don't get it, man. Are you proud to be an American? Goddamn, are you proud of the fact that you have a Maybach in the garage? Well, the Maybach, I gotta spend $5,000 to fix it. Well, motherfucker, make some more money then. We are living in the lap of luxury in America, and we make excuses for our own failures. And I get it, man. Things, we have inflation. But that's the beauty of living in America. Just work harder, man, because we have the Maybachs. These American women are Maybachs, and foreign women are Geo Prisms. Yeah, that's eco-friendly. You only spend $10 in gas it could get you back and forth to work for a week for only $10. But that's what a third world chick to me is. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead. Sorry about that. Sorry.
No doubt. Can't even drop bomb.
Absolutely
Let me
don't
read these
agree with
super
that.
chat. All right, Me University says Miss Polly is biblically accurate, but the U.S. is through. My man Harrison before he nodded off on the damn panel. Salute. Me University, $2 last ditch effort for love. 90s touted gangster bitches. All right, y'all. I gotta get out of here. I'm falling asleep in my own
Absolutely,
damn
Guys.
Y'all go hit
just-
some of these other YouTubers. I'm
Can I
out
make
for the night.
one real quick point, Trigger Mike?
Go ahead, bro.
Beans, there's no way we can compare the benevolence of men to the selfishness of women because it's not even close. I agree with you on that. But I believe it is our duty. It is our duty to be benevolent in order to maintain the society as it is. So I get what you were saying. It's just I see it from a different perspective. But you made some really good points. I wanted to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, and I mean, look, like I said, bro, like I love women, bro. It is what it is. I just wish that they saw value in being a woman, right, and then made that mean something. You see what I'm saying? Instead of, to Mrs. Polly's take, trying to be men, right? Like that's, to me, that's the insane part, and there is something to be said about femininity and submission, right?
I mean, yeah.
And because say what you want to about these third world women, and maybe they are doing it because they're poor, but the fact of the matter is that even in this country, it seems like you won't get those things unless you go for the poorer women. You're not getting those things from the more educated women, from the women who are able to own Maybachs themselves. Not that I don't understand the reference and way he was using the Maybachs, because I did, but I'm just making my own reference, which is that here our women get better just to despise us more, to villainize us more, to compete with us more, right? Instead of saying, like the women from the third world country, oh no, it's us against the world. Whatever I get is for the betterment of us, period, point blank. And
all right, y'all. I'm getting out of here.
all
Catch
right,
y'all
bro.
next time. Appreciate y'all coming through the Trigger Mike show. My boy Chaotic came through. Miss Polly, you know you're always welcome. All right, y'all. Appreciate the super chats and everything. Go support your YouTubers in the space. Once again, that Assured Man Naturals. Shout out to the sponsors, Tej Hanley. Grab that Assured Man hair and beard oil for your skin care. For your hair care and beard care regimen. Appreciate everybody who came through. We out until the next Trick Mike show, likely on Monday. Catch y'all then. I'm out.